Got it.
Pause that recording real quick. Just
All right.
hit the pause in the upper left.
Upper left. Gotcha.
Let's see, we've got that will take time. Okay, so Bouchard, Dell, Ferrante will not be here. So we're down 3 from 14 or from 16. So that leaves us 13 person quorum. I think so, because we have. Perfect, we got it. All right, well then why don't we go ahead and get started? I have 9:01. So good morning, everyone, to the last commission meeting of our 2-year original appointment of the Recycling Markets and Curbside Recycling Commission. This is our 40th meeting. It will be my last. So I really just want to start by saying thank you again to all my commissioners for honoring me with the privilege of being your chair for the last 2 years. We will start with, we've got on the first on our agenda is roll call and establishment of a quorum, and we are missing Commissioners Bouchard, Dell, and Ferrante. Bouchard and Dell had a previous commitment. We knew that a while ago. Commissioner Ferrante this morning could not be at the location she had noticed, unfortunately, so she could not participate in the meeting, which is part of the issue with these remote meetings. So with that, we've got to have 9 commissioners be here and present for a quorum. So we'll go ahead and I will check right now. We've got Commissioner Davis on the phone. We've got Commissioner Donlevy here. We've got Kalpikoff here. We're missing Lapis. All right. Okay. All right. Hopefully I'll be here soon. Commissioner Medrano. I see did I see Medrano? No. Okay. And Osagura is here. I am here. Schneider's online. Sky is online. Toyota's online and Water's online. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just enough.
Chair, question
Yes.
regarding quorum.
Can you turn on your mic, please, when you speak?
Yes. What are the requirements for having quorum? My understanding is we had to have a quorum present at the location where the meeting was going to take place in order to have people participate remotely.
That is not my understanding of the law. My understanding is that if it's publicly noticed with their addresses as we have done, then that is considered in person.
So then, well, that's not my understanding of the law. My understanding of the law is you would have to have quorum of the board present at the meeting location and then allow access to remote participation by posting their locations. Because with what you're saying, the interpretation could be one person is in this room that would then allow 14 people to participate remotely. So I would like to get clarification if this meeting can start with quorum present.
Well, and this is the issue I brought up all along about legal support and the need for this commission to have basically a lawyer sitting alongside us like we do at every other public meeting I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Cal Recycle if they can answer this question. But my understanding of the law is different.
Yeah, we're not lawyers, so we can't interpret Bagley Keene. You all have a copy of it, and it should say on there the specifics as to what entails a quorum.
Well, this highlights the issue of not having legal support. So
Agreed.
I guess I will ask my other commissioners, because we have now a disagreement between commissioners. How would you like to proceed? Because I would like to just proceed with the meeting and go with a majority vote, if that's what we have, as long as we've got a quorum of all the commissioners who've been publicly noticed as to their location, et cetera. And I do see our parliamentarian's hand up, so I'm going to ask Commissioner Davis to go first to see if he can answer, and then Commissioner Schneider.
Yeah, perhaps Commissioner Donlevy could point to the section, but I did a quick search on Bagley-Keene, and the second reference to quorum comes up and says a meeting occurs when a quorum of a body convenes either serially or together in one place. I am looking for something that says, no, serial meeting. If you want to go to Commissioner Schneider, I'll try to.
Sure.
I misread
Commissioner
the first reference.
Just looking that up.
Chair, my question is, last time, 2 weeks ago, how many people were sitting up in Sacramento versus those of us who were at remote locations? And if we're more or less the same as the last time, wouldn't the same rules hold? And I can't tell, because from here, the camera I see is a real down shot. I think there's 4 of you up in Sacramento, but last
5.
time I couldn't tell. 5?
There's 5, but hopefully Commissioner Lapis will be here. That would make 6, but that would also seem to be the reasonable test.
Yeah, I looked at all 13 references to quorum in Bagley-Keene. There's nothing. So if Commissioner Donlevy has a section that he could cite, that would help.
Well, I think you just referenced the section where there's quorum present where the meeting is taking place.
Well, no,
Which
it's a meeting. So, you know,
We are in a meeting that was publicly
we're
noticed.
allowed to participate remotely. So,
Correct. I'm agreeing with that, provided there's quorum at the location where the meeting was posted.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask Commissioner Sky, see your hands up.
Yeah, the meeting is taking place on Zoom, and we're all here, and we have a lot of work to do. And for some of us, the last meeting, we'd love to get to it. I have full faith in Commissioner Davis. He's looked at all the references, and I think we're good to go.
And I see Commissioner Medrano also joined us online at his location. So now we have, well, more 10 than a quorum from publicly noticed commissioners.
all the references to teleconference call it a meeting. So I don't see any definition of the meeting being only at that location.
Right, and I think, with Commissioner Schneider mentioning, I think she's correct. I mean, the number of folks that were here, yes, the last time, and we were able to conduct our service, our voluntary service, let me add, right? We're volunteers here. We're making recommendations. We are not making policy. We are making recommendations of potential, legal policy or laws that could be made or started. So I feel very comfortable moving forward, getting done with the business of today. And if someone has an issue with, the report once it's done, I think they can voice those concerns at a later time.
Yeah, and I did to agree with Commissioner Oseguera. I did find a reference. It says at least one member of the state body shall be physically present at the location specified in the notice of the meeting. So I think that suggests that we can participate remotely so long as one person is at that physical location and that location is open to the public to receive comments.
Commissioner Davis, much appreciated. Thank you very much. With that, we'll go ahead, declare a quorum, and we'll proceed to agenda item number 2, which is review and potential approval of the meeting minutes. I'm sure the commissioners have had time to look at the meeting minutes. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve or have?
I
any
motion
mo-
to approve the minutes.
Question.
I'll second.
I had
Okay, it looks like we have a question.
I'd like to make a couple of changes.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
Um,
I think it's Commissioner Dunleavy after that.
yeah, on page 3. The 5th,
Pull those meeting minutes up, or
yeah.
would that be
I can
easier for
share my
everybody to
screen
follow?
if you like. Sorry. Should I share my screen?
I don't, oh, do we see it? I don't see it.
Okay, yeah, I was waiting to share. I will share
Oh,
now.
Keller Cycle, and he's, thank
There
you.
you go. You see it?
There we go.
Okay. The statement, yeah, lithium ion batteries are hazardous material. I was talking about lithium iron. So,
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
but lithium ion batteries are hazardous. I got confused with that
Right.
one.
So do you want to change that to lithium iron?
Well, battery walls that are lithium ion are not hazardous, but so either way, I think that's what I said.
I'm sorry. So what did you say? What would you like this to say?
Battery walls that are lithium iron are not
IRON,
iron. Yeah,
but an R, yeah, R between an ion. So lithium iron
got it.
are
Okay.
not. So instead of take out,
No, are not considered a hazardous material. So,
right. Okay.
okay, and just quickly, sorry, one more.
That's an easy change. So hopefully Commissioner Ward and I will capture that in the Cal Recycle stuff. Okay, thank you.
And I'm finding my other long minutes. There we go.
It was a long meeting.
I guess
Recording
this
actually
one's
crashed.
okay.
I had to get
Yeah,
Cal
I
Recycle.
guess this one's okay. It's fine the way it's written. Sorry.
Okay, so that's that change we accepted. Everybody okay with the change?
With the changes made by Commissioner Davis, I motion that we approve.
Question,
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Dunleavy, I guess has one more question.
yes, question regarding agenda item number 4, household hazardous waste policy. I think that was a revision of policy 20-01. Was that the first reading of that policy? The revised?
I believe Commissioner Ward and I have updated that policy 2 times and brought it back to the commission for wording changes and slight modifications. Is that correct, Commissioner Ward? Twice.
So the first time it included the battery walls.
I
And
would not be able to, I mean, we would have to go back through the entire record if you're going to ask about, it was all approved at a public meeting by a unanimous vote of the commission every time.
Okay, I'm just asking if that was the second reading that included that. My recollection of the March meeting did not have bans on certain items and the battery walls. So it seems like a substantial change. So whether would be considered the second reading, that's my question. So if it would be eligible to
Well,
be in
when
the
we've
report.
already approved a policy, Commissioner Dunleavy, we have, I thought, agreed that when it comes back for minor modifications or an edit, we just amend it and then that was it. And I think that's the process we've done for 2 years. There's been a couple of policies that's happened with.
Okay, I was just asking the question.
Yep.
On agenda item 7, eliminating toxic components, it has in the meeting notes that I suggested to withdraw it. I asked to have it withdrawn. So not suggested, I requested to have it
Good point.
withdrawn with the approval of Commissioner Dell, which she did agree to have it withdrawn.
Correct. Okay, that's good edit. So we'll go ahead and make that change.
Definitely a long meeting. It has some comments that I made listed under agenda item 12, the monitoring and science requirements. But my comments were related to item 11, advance monitoring for compost policy. So I think the comments that they have for me related to bringing in, California Compost Coalition, other composters and farmers, that should be listed under item 11, not item 12. That was my recollection. I'm not sure how staff put these together. But again, it was a very long meeting.
Were you able to look at the video that was posted so you could check against the minutes? That's what I
No,
do.
the IT system that we have with my company doesn't allow me to watch videos.
Mm. Well, Commissioner Ward, maybe you could pull up the meeting minutes real quickly and we can agree on these final.
You know what, I
Minutes.
have the March minutes
Do you
open.
have them? Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, and there was a discussion of battery wells. I was curious, so, of adding that to the policy. What was the issue? The question was whether something was discussed under.
Two different agenda items. So where did you see it in the meeting minutes, Commissioner Dunleavy?
They had them listed under item 12, but I'm pretty sure my comments were directly related to the compost monitoring.
11?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll look at 12 and see if those comments are out of place.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, it would have been really helpful to have these before the meeting because we could have been ready with the amendments.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm looking at the March minutes. I misunderstood this.
Power Cycle has a copy of the notes here, and there's a paragraph starting Commissioner Don Levy proposed, including people from the California Compost Coalition. Would you like us to move that to agenda item 11, that full paragraph?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so all the commissioners can see what we're moving. Oh, you just had your screen up. I was hoping to see it. But I trust that you know where you said it. So, I mean, I'm fine with just moving the language to the right item if that's okay with the other commissioners. Okay. Good. All right. Anything else? Okay. I think we have a motion. We're just looking for a second.
Yes, I motion with the changes from Commissioner Davis and
I'll second.
Dunleavy?
Commissioner Dunleavy. I motion that we approve the minutes.
I second. Schneider.
Thank you. All those in favor, thumbs up or
Aye.
aye. Good. And are there any abstentions or anybody opposed?
Just a question about protocol with remote sessions. Maybe a question for Commissioner Davis. When people are participating remotely, are motions to be a voice vote, or can it just be all ayes or nays?
You know, I'll look at Bagley King, but I
Would
think
you like a roll call vote? That might be faster. Happy to do it.
our bylaws were amended to say we work by consensus, so I guess we're defaulting to Robert's Rules of
Right.
Order.
I didn't hear anybody opposed. So is there an issue?
And typically, if there's silence, and if there isn't vocal opposition, that's considered going with the majority.
No, just making sure that we're doing everything per Bagley Keene. So, any of our actions don't get challenged and we have to redo them.
Okay, these are the same things we've been doing for 2 years, so hopefully it's all okay. Otherwise, we're in big trouble. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you for approving the meeting minutes with those amendments. Go on to agenda item number 3, public comment review for items not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments that are not on the agenda?
Yes, we have one public comment from Shirley Frericks from the Elders Action Network. Microplastics from last meeting. I thought you were prioritizing microplastics as a discussion topic. I do not see it on the agenda. This is becoming my priority concern, especially in our water supply. I sent a note to the California Water Board to see if they are starting to do testing of our drinking water and put it out to counties. They were not the last time I called. No response. Will you address with them?
Thank you. I think we're all truly very concerned about microplastics. We had a long discussion about that, about plastics in compost. We have another item on the agenda today to talk about plastics in compost and organics. And I know Scott Coffin, Dr. Scott Coffin over at the Water Board is literally focusing his career on microplastics in water. And the state just came up with a whole plan on how to address microplastics. So I think California is actually leading in this space, but encourage you to continue to follow those things. And this commission, after, I know some of us will be here, some of us won't. At the next meeting, they can discuss how they want to take that up. Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay,
No
Very-
other public comment.
very good. And I didn't see that there were any new comments in the portal either from the last meeting, just one that was on the agenda, item 13, which we had already decided we're not bringing up again. So, and that's publicly posted anyway. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll move on from agenda item 3. I'm going to move things around because I think it's important we get to the report and then to the 2 policies that we had talked about adding to this report. But just to make sure we get through the report, I'd like to move to agenda item number 7, if that is okay with the other commissioners. Yes, okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate it. And if anybody objects, please let me know. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 7. And Commissioner Ward, who has been amazing at doing all this hard, heavy lifting on the report. If he could pull it up on the screen, I think we need to go through it carefully together, literally paragraph by paragraph. It's gotten shorter, so you might be happier with that. But there are some outstanding comments that we've received from some commissioners I want to address out of the gate that are kind of big picture comments, because we have to agree on this in order to agree on the report. So one of the comments has been the report needs to be shorter and focused. And by the way, this came from Commissioner Dunleavy yesterday. I posted his comments because they were quite significant and he wasn't able, due to their firewalls or what have you, to get into the report and do public comments. So I want to make sure everybody can follow this. But he asked about that the policy proposals he thinks that the report needs to be shorter and focused on the policy proposals adopted between September 21 and April 2022. No need to confuse or complicate the report with past policies that were not adopted. I think all the policies that we're considering, by the way, have been unanimously adopted by this commission. We can reduce the history and the startup of the commission. I think those sections have been reduced and we moved how we operate to the end of the report, Commissioner Ward, correct? So we were trying to do that. By the way, you look very mysterious with it. Your head is black. Can't see you. I might want some lighting there. Okay. So I guess I just want to clear it up with the commission. We had discussed at the last meeting that we would include all policies that have not been fully addressed by the state that we all had agreed to in previous reports. And I believe Commissioner Ward and I believe there's only 3 that had been fully addressed by the state. Is that correct, Commissioner Warden? Could you read those off? Oh, he's disappeared. So that was mysterious.
Yes, that is correct. And they were the definition of recycling, the definition of composting, and I believe the refillable bottles.
Right, because the bill did pass last year that allows refillable bottles to go back into the bottle bill program. Commissioner Sky, see your hands up?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to speak more broadly about the comment. The work of the commission is ongoing, and I think it's really important for us to include all of the work that's gone into it and kind of celebrate our successes rather than deleting them. And also, you know, we talked about this at the last meeting, that we should try to identify those items that have been fully adopted, but good policies should continue to be proposed by us and supported. So I know that it was really challenging for Commissioner Ward to try to adjust the structure to eliminate proposals that might have already been addressed by the legislature. My strong recommendation would be we have a strong executive summary. I think Commissioner Ward has done a fantastic job. It can certainly be fine-tuned a little bit more today. But that's what most people will be reading. but I would love to see our reports continue to document the work that's been done that's led to successes and policies that we may have adopted a year or two ago, but are still priorities for our commission.
So you like the format the way it is now?
Precisely.
Correct. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else that wants to comment to this so we can agree on the overall path?
I would. This is Ted. So sorry I don't have my video on, but that's part of sharing the screen. So in general, I really appreciate everybody's inputs. And in future, I don't really object to the idea of just new policies being published. But for this report, I totally agree with Commissioner Sky. I think it's entirely appropriate after our first 2 years that we offer a summary about the impacts this commission's policy proposals have had. And that means impacts to the legislature. That means changes in Cal Recycle policy. And those are both summarized in this report. And I think deleting those sections would be a tremendous loss to everybody who's watching the commission's work.
Thank you. Are there other commissioners that wish to speak to this?
Yeah, I just want to echo those those comments. It's extremely important for us to show the tremendous amount of work that has been done through these 2 years. It'd be, I think, it would not provide a holistic product to eliminate those items from the report. It is 2 years of work. There are a number of commissioners that are leaving, and I think that it's important to have the entire body of work there.
Okay, so the entire body of work minus just the 3 policies we've talked about, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure we're on the same page. So unless I hear from other commissioners, it seems that's where the majority is on that. Thumbs up. Okay. Commissioner Dunleavy, are you okay with that?
Yeah, it sounds like that's what everybody would like to see. I would have the past items towards the back and focus on what I think are the 5 policies that we've approved since the last report. Focus on those up front, and then the prior policies towards the back. Just so when somebody's reading this, they see these are the new policies that we're recommending. And then towards the back of the report, have the other policies. And I did suggest listing the 3 that were actually taken up by the legislature, saying we have had some success. And I've suggested including those at the front with the executive summary.
Commissioner Ward, these have been kind of all put together and through a narrated discussion, I believe, through the report. Is that correct?
Yeah. So in general, I just disagree. While I hear that you want to emphasize the most recent policies, and I understand that, the reality is that they're kind of all over the board. There isn't a coherence. If we just throw those new policies out there, they seem pretty scattershot and pretty not very understandable. The intent of the report is to try to have it all fit into context as best as possible, and so that's what I've done. If the commission wants to change direction in future, that would be fine. But for this report, I think this suggestion is too significant of an edit to try to enact in the time we have.
I'm going to make a recommendation in order for us to get through this meeting, because there's a lot of comments Commissioner Dunleavy gave us yesterday, is that we agree to disagree on some of these things. And Commissioner Dunleavy, if you wish to, we can put a note into the report that you disagree with the formatting or whatever the thing is.
Let's address that once we get to the end.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so why don't we go ahead through the executive summary very quickly and start kind of top to bottom. Our hope was that Commissioner Ward and I could literally, after this meeting, finish this report, and then I could submit it to the authorities. So, and I would like to do that no later than Friday. So Commissioner Ward, do you want to just kind of go through this, or should I just kind of skim and you can, I'll just talk it through. The executive summary. So this is where we just tell the legislature what they had told us to do, and that the governor, signed the bill that authorized us. This is all this kind of the same things we had done before in the previous reports, that we agreed to work by consensus And the proposals that follow are the recommendations that we unanimously adopted. And the different focus areas being fire risk, packaging, all these things. Oh, you're going fast. Additionally, the public needs to be able to trust their government, and the whole issue about getting truth back into our system so that the public trusts it. I just got an email yesterday about how concerned people are about the fact that people don't trust anymore that what they're recycling or putting in the bin is getting recycled. And then we, this highlighted area is a link to, and these links are very hard to keep switching and time consuming. So we'll link them after the meeting, but we appreciate the legislature has taken our recommendations seriously and passed several bills in 2021 that addressed our policies. Now, Commissioner Ward, what link would that go to and what table?
That would be the legislative summary table. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want to show that very quickly so everybody can see it to make sure we're all on the same page?
sure, but
Question
it's,
for Chair Sanborn or Commissioner Ward. Is this version
this is
posted
the,
on? Is this version posted online right now where the public could follow along?
yes,
Where is it posted?
Where it's always been, which
It's
is
at
under
the-
the report.
no, it's actually under the
I mean,
meeting
the meeting.
or
We
the
put it under the meeting.
615 under the Google Docs.
I
This is
believe I
a-
sent it out twice, the link to this.
But this is slightly
Commissioners.
different than the PDF I sent to you, Commissioner Don Levy, because we continued to edit.
Okay, so I'm going into the full commission reports and meetings. The
Under
tabs
meetings,
are-
615. And it's working draft number 4. Or commission report number 4, working draft. But yes, the public can follow along just as we're doing this.
Please continue.
So back to where we were.
So that was the table. Did anybody have questions on the table? Because that's where the hot link's going to go. Okay, I don't see any hands up. All right. So then we thank you again for the opportunity to provide these policies, same language. Commissioner Ward spent quite a bit of time. Tables of contents are not easy to generate and everything changes every time you make an edit.
So
this
we'll
is
make this look pretty when we're all done.
Right, that's the bottom line.
But
Now, we
you
do
can
have the
see from
circular-
the structure, what we tried to do, and the reason why I put the table of contents even in this crude form is everybody should see the structure. And there is, at the left of the Google Docs, there is a show document outline that essentially gives you the same information without the page numbers, but you can then click on those links to each of the sections. But you can see that essentially we did try to structure the report under the 3 policies, the 3 thrusts of the circular economy: finding out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use, and regenerating natural systems. And at the end, we have the discussions about commission structure and process. And because the CalRecycle did such a good and thorough job, rather than edit anything that they did, I just include their table of their responses to commission proposals as in the back of the report.
And that was
Chair-
sent to
Chair
us
Sambro.
yesterday and posted on the public website, the CalRecycle website, I believe yesterday. Commissioner Dunleavy.
Yeah, just going back to the executive summary, one of the suggestions I had at the end of the executive summary, taking the table that lists all the commissioners from page 31 and bringing it to the conclusion of the executive summary. So people reading this will know who are the participants putting this report together.
Not a bad idea. We could move it even like right inside the cover so that they know from the very beginning who were the authors, basically. That's not a problem. I mean, it's just a table, correct?
Yeah, I'm fine moving it. So I'll do that now. Continue.
I would also say in the executive summary, so we'll put it in there in the executive summary, but we should also say that at the last meeting, we were missing, well, the vice chair had resigned already. And then we had 3 commissioners that could not be here to vote on the final report. I think we have to say that because they didn't have their final blessing of it, but there was nothing we could do. And we should put a roll call vote, I believe, if it's not unanimous, on this report. So it's very clear who voted for it and who didn't, and who bought off on it and who didn't, because that's the only fair way to, I think, to do it.
Yeah.
Commissioners who weren't here, I don't want their name on something they haven't seen. That wouldn't be fair.
Our charter says we work by consensus. If we don't have a consensus, then we do a roll call vote. So
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. So hopefully we'll have consensus, but if we don't, that's what we would do. But we should still name the 3 commissioners that could be. And actually, we're still missing Commissioner Lapis. So there's 4.
I sent a text. He said he would be joining in a few minutes.
Okay.
So Chair Sanborn, you're suggesting we eliminate the names of the commissioners that have participated for the last 2 years?
Not at all what I said, actually. It feels a little combative. I don't know what is going on, Commissioner Donlevy, but we're trying to wrap this up. I didn't say that. I said that the commissioners who could not physically be here, it should be noted that they weren't physically here for the last meeting to vote, because it wouldn't be right. I wouldn't want my name listed as though I voted for something if I couldn't be there to actually vote and read it, because we're editing live. Does that seem fair? All right, we're going to move on. Okay, so
Chair,
yeah.
could you just maybe modify that just a little bit and give them the opportunity to say yes or no? So if they weren't here to vote, but they're fine with their name being on, that they stay on, right?
Oh, well, their name wouldn't be removed.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that we put maybe an asterisk and say that they were unable to participate in the last meeting where
Yeah.
the report
Got it.
was. Does that, I'm not trying to
Misunderstood.
discount
Yeah.
what, I'm sorry if I didn't say it correctly. I'm not trying to discount all their participation. I just would be nervous if it were me and I couldn't attend the last meeting. Edits were made, my name is on it as though I, just say that, they were here for the last meeting too. So that they saw 90% of it, 99%. Okay, so Commissioners Bouchard, Del Ferrante were not present at the final meeting. And we should put the date, I think, 6/15. That we just can't speak for them as all. I mean, I guess I could send them an email with the final report and say, but they still couldn't vote on it. And I did put the asterisk that Commissioner Valle had resigned, so they knew that he was not able to participate in this last meeting. That's all I was trying to get at. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. So I know there was a lot of discussion at the last meeting about the circular economy. And one of the commissioners who was concerned about this is not here due to a vacation. So I just want to say, I'm not sure we're going to have a unanimous agreement on the format, but I think we had a majority is what I understood. So that is the way Commissioner Ward outlined this report. And so we might have to take a roll call vote, but that's, as we said, we'll talk about that at the end. The Statewide Commission's recovery advice. Sounds like we're somehow in need of treatment. Maybe maybe we reword this, is just my initial thought.
Just trying to keep it light. You have any? That's really what this document is. So.
Well, recovery can be used for a whole bunch of things, and I guess the implications
Sure.
for a lot of people is something different. So maybe we say Statewide Commission's advice. I mean, it's our advice.
Okay.
Thank you. That sounds better to me. Okay. Everybody's good with that. Report is the Commission's collective advice on ways to more closely try and live up to these high environmental goals. I think this is all standard language. Serving without compensation for many thousands of hours for over 2 years, we have met. We have been asked to make recommendations about how California could, and then we listed the different things that we were asked to do. I did note it was completed, that the recyclable and compostable definitions, which I think were 2 of the most challenging things we had on our plate. Very proud that we were able to complete that, and actually the legislation was passed last year. Legislation creating the commission also assigned us with the following tasks. We listed those. These are not new either. Now, on 4, these 2 completed policies are red. Commissioner Ward, is there a reason for that?
No,
Okay. Identify products that are recyclable or compostable and regularly collect. I think maybe that was added, but again, just saying that they were completed with those policies. Okay. Or is completed, do you mean addressed the policies?
I think addressed is better.
Okay. Addressed the policy, yeah, by, yeah. Well, these 2 things are done. And it wasn't just that we got the policies done, it was that actually there was action taken in the legislature. Yeah, perfect. Provide regular feedback to CalRecycle, we do that. Okay, so I think we can continue. The report provides a deeper dive into the circular economy model and what it is and what it means to California. And again, I hope we have agreement on this. I don't think we do though. So that'll be probably a roll call vote. California aimed for 75% recycling rates in 2020.
I think actually, if Commissioner Don Levy, you really want to put some words in here indicating your hesitation to address the circular economy model within this report, this would be the right place.
Yeah.
If you had a sentence you wanted to throw here, like not all commissioners were comfortable presenting the circular economy model as it is not embraced by legislation in California at this time, something along those lines would be fine.
I mean, I thought we were going to be operating under a consensus. There was another commissioner that also objected to the circular economy, but it's obvious the direction that we're going. We're just going to go with the majority vote on this. Circular economy is a concept, just like space exploration. Recycling is a mission. It's identifying specific items that can be recycled and turned into something new. This is the Statewide Recycling and Composting Commission, not the Circular Economy Promotion Commission. I think we're getting very vague promoting the circular economy. Some of my comments that I had focus on the policies and let the policies that we've approved speak for themselves. If those policies address the circular economy within the text of the policy, I support that. I did include reference to the circular economy and including wine and spirits, because that's truly a recoverable, recyclable item.
Okay, Commissioner Dunleavy, I think you did bring this up and said these same things at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So in order to keep us moving, I want to welcome Commissioner Lapis, just arrived at 9:41. I think the commission just has a decision to make. We have 2 commissioners who really don't like the circular economy being in this final report. And I'm not sure we're going to get a consensus vote. So I guess I just want to put it out there.
Or the 2 that
I believe it was Commissioner Dell. She had spoken very, very loudly at the last meeting that she thought the circular economy had, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she spoke to this at length.
one of the things she indicated was one of the foundations, one of the references was a greenwashing. And for me on this commission, it was to improve curbside recycling and composting, improving the quality of what we have and what we know works, providing a pathway for some items that might have markets in the future, creating market development, promoting post-consumer content to help increase the demand that might make a commodity more in demand so it could be recycled. But the circular economy is just, for me, it's too broad. Commissioner Dell said it was greenwashing.
Okay.
I think all those who want to support circular economy, please do it. Please do it on your own time with your own organizations. I don't think it falls under the structure of this commission.
Okay, so I would suggest then that we say, that I think we should say which commissioners, because I think that is important, and that is like a roll call vote. That the two commissioners, Dell and Donlevy, were not comfortable discussing the circular economy in this report. And I don't know if we should get into the why. I worry if Commissioner Dell is not here, but she did, I know, say that. She didn't think we should be talking about the circular economy. Yes, Commissioner Lapis.
First of all, I am really sorry I'm late. I got in on a flight late last night, and I was on a different time zone on my phone, and it showed that the meeting started at 11. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sleep in and come in late, so I apologize.
No worries.
Jeff, I struggle with this a little bit because I don't want us to move away from having consensus support. But also, I don't think any of us are saying we're supporting something called circular economy, period. We're not saying that it's I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but it's not like if we were to say we support basketball, doesn't mean we support the NBA, right? Like there's no circular economy trademark, even though the Ellen MacArthur Foundation has been the one that's popularized it. I don't think we're saying the commission is signing on to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation Pact. Not that I would personally object to that, because I think CAW actually has, but it's just saying that an economy should be more circular, where instead of having a linear system, I mean, think the original story of Stuff Video, right? Instead of having a linear system where you take resources and you consume them and you landfill them or you incinerate them, we want to reintroduce them back into the economy. I don't think it's a endorsement of anything specific to say that we want to see a more circular economy. And so to some extent, I'm not sure it matters, and I think we could get rid of it. But Commissioner Ward put a lot of effort into putting this together, and a lot of this verbiage has been around for months. And I just feel slightly uncomfortable just undoing his work over what I think might be a slight misunderstanding, because I actually don't think we all disagree on the concept at all. I think it's just a terminology, right?
Yeah, I support recycling. Items that we know can be recycled, or
Well, the commission's also tasked with source reduction, other ways to getting our diversion goals, I think we just have a disagreement, and we're just going to have to agree on how to settle it. So let's look at this language and see if this works. So Commissioners Dell and Donlevy, or Donlevy and Dell, were not comfortable discussing the circular economy in this report, as California does not have any laws explicitly supporting or enforcing a circular economy. I would say it doesn't define. Like, there's no definition, I don't think, for California that's agreed on. And I think I brought that up at the last meeting about the definition, and how this was outlined was around the Ellen MacArthur Foundation definition.
without a definition, it's just a vague topic that
Right,
people
but
can
that's
take
why it
any
has,
direction they want. And
that's why okay. But
Well-
that's why we have the definition in the report now, and it's laid out by the 3 points of Ellen MacArthur.
What if instead of the section, we put something along the lines of Commissioners Dunleavy and Dell weren't comfortable using the phrase circular economy because it has been used co-opted by certain industry sectors
I
to
think that's
support,
exactly what Commissioner Dell said.
yes, I mean, something about the phrase as opposed to the concept.
Madam Chair.
No, now you're calling out
Online
two
too.
commissioners instead of saying it was not a unanimous consensus to include this. So now you're calling us out.
Oh, I was just going off the text. I was already here. That's fair enough. So what if we said something along the lines of there was not consensus to use the term circular economy because it had been co-opted, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we can finagle the wording.
But we also agreed to do roll call votes, which does mean that you're on the record by name, who voted for what. So it's still going to be on the record.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
We
You've
have
got
a queue of
people with their
folks.
hands raised for a while. I think Kobe.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's 3 hands. Okay, Commissioner Sky, Schneider, and Davis, please.
The Commissioner Lapis pointed to this and.
Can you
and
speak
I
up? I'm sorry, it's really
last
hard to hear
meeting
you.
as Well, but I think part of
We
this.
can't hear you, Kobe.
Okay. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Not that well.
Okay, I'll try to speak up. I mentioned this at the last meeting and Commissioner Lapis referenced it, that part of our strength of the commission is that we operate by consensus. And I definitely wouldn't want to discard that when I know we're at the last minute, the last meeting, and we're trying to finalize this report, but I'd still like to try to reach consensus. And specifically in regards to the circular economy, we have had discussions about it. And the last time we discussed it, I raised the point that just like the chasing error symbol, that it certainly has been used and co-opted, and this commission was fundamental in, recapturing the purpose of that symbol, and we should do the same thing with the term circular economy. So I know that it's not defined. I would rather than saying that two commissioners disagreed or we're not in consensus, that we talk about those specific concerns and just incorporate that into the report. And if there's consensus about what those concerns and issues are, that we all agree to that rather than singling out two commissioners.
That's fine. But to me, that's part of being on a commission, is to stand up for things. And if you truly don't believe something is right, you shouldn't be afraid to put your name on it. I mean, I would be happy to have my name called out if I disagreed with the report. That's part of our job, in my opinion. Okay, so whatever the group would like. So the commission did not have consensus. Take the word on out. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I already said, I think Schneider and then Davis.
Thank you. I really like what Commissioner Sky just said, but when I try to think about, do we have a role, we as a commission, on the circular economy, that's the whole point of market development. So to me, we do have a role in promoting a system that recycles or reuses upon itself. So I understand, I would love us to be consensus, but I think it is our role to take a stand. And I really like Commissioner Sky saying, let's take the term back. I can't use the word recovery because it was so co-opted. So there's a lot of terms that have been co-opted. We just have to help keep making the real reason and the real use of it correct. Sorry, I had an 7-hour council meeting last night. I'm a little loopy today. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
Well, Commissioner Snyder just said what I was going to say. The circular economy is a market development concept. We are the statewide commission on market development and curbside recycling. So the horse has left the barn. It's a phrase that's used, and in all of my discussions with the Cal Recycle staff about the use of the phrase, they refer repeatedly to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's framework. So I have no problem including it in here. And I think the changes you made, are along the lines that I was going to discuss. So, but it's a market development concept. So.
Okay, well, we're going to need to keep moving. So let's read this again and see if we can all agree. So the commission did not have consensus regarding using the phrase circular economy in this report. California does not have any laws explicitly defining or enforcing a circular economy in I think we can take California out, yeah. And the commission has no explicit role in promoting a circular economy. The policy proposals in this report have all been adopted unanimously, but the text introducing the setting and setting the context for these proposals did not have unanimous support. I think we should say did not have unanimous support, but had majority support is what I suspect we will have. Because I think that's also important to share, that it was the minority and not the majority. But it's up to you. Because if we're, the legislators have to know as a group, generally where people are at.
Through the chair, I mean, both John and I, the line, it's the third sentence. We disagree, I think, if I'm reading John correctly, we disagree that we have no role in circular economy because that's what market development is. So
Yeah.
keep the rest of it. And you might also be able to say that we have a supermajority.
Can I ask a clarifying question for Jeff? I'm sorry, I keep going back to you, but do I understand correctly that one of the concerns is that saying that we want a circular economy implies that all materials need to be recycled, whether or not they're recyclable? So you have something like PVC that we think, we've recommended should be phased out of packaging. But the concern is that people are going to say, well, we need a circular economy, so we need to try to recycle PVC. And is that part of the concern, or am I putting a lot of words in your mouth that you don't agree with?
No, the concern is, I thought we were tasked for promoting recycling, market development for materials that could be recycled. SB 343 is taking the recycling symbol, the word recyclable and compostable off of products. But now we might be opening up the pathway for people. Let's take off recyclable and say hefty bags, part of the circular economy. We just gave another word or another phrase that could mislead people to think, oh, it's part of the circular economy. This can go in my curbside bin. To me, it creates more confusion. And what I've been trying to do, fight for cleaner curbside material, supporting and fighting for cleaner compost material, taking misleading statements or confusing statements off of products that mislead people, that create contamination and increased processing costs for the service providers that are dealing with this material. So, okay, we're not focused on recycling anymore. Plastic bags, part of the circular economy. Let's go.
Jeff, I think that's
I'm
super
comfortable
valid.
with the last paragraph with the deletion of having support, or the support of the majority. So now it's saying we're moving away from consensus and it's a majority vote. So
But we've
I
always
was
said,
comfortable with the last
that there was a
sentence.
path for that. We've always said that if there's not on the policies, but on the report, that if we didn't all agree, we could have a roll call vote. I believe that's in our charter. I'm going to pull it back up.
I think, Jeff, you bring up a really valid point. I'd like to have that articulated in the report of why you have that concern. I don't want to just say, we didn't have a majority, because I think you're bringing up a legitimate concern. Maybe if you could work on that wording. Again, you described it really well. I think this paragraph should include a description of what your concerns are.
Can I
Problem
offer
now
some?
is we're out of time. And so if we don't have language in front of us and we weren't given, unless you put it in this letter, did we get any language you wanted to put in here?
No, just my
Madam Chair,
opposition to referencing or supporting.
Okay,
or
well, I mean,
promoting.
it's just going to be very hard to get through this report if all we're hearing is this doesn't work for me, but we're not getting suggested track changes and we've got 3 hours.
Madam
I'm
Chair,
just
can you offer some language?
Please.
So rather than saying the commission did not have consensus, can we say several commissioners raised concerns regarding using the phrase circular economy? Comma.
I think we should say 2. It wasn't more than 2.
Well, I think a lot of us have, what I'm trying to do is develop language that would have consensus approval. And I think if we phrase it this way, we might reach that. So using the term circular comma, due to a lack of clear understanding of what the term means. And then you can pull up, okay, I'll just rephrase it. There are no state laws defining or enforcing the circular economy, comma.
I think that's kind of below.
Right.
Okay.
And some entities have co-opted the term.
I could agree to that. Does that work for you, Commissioner Dunleavy? So we'd remove the one at the bottom?
Does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. We move on.
Okay.
Now, delete the last sentence as well, because I don't think we
Right.
need to. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You need to eliminate that. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So you can take out yellow because, yep, that's in.
All right. Moving on.
Great. Okay, so California aimed for a 75% recovery rate starting in 2020. And when we say recovery rate, wasn't it diversion?
No,
It-
no,
it's
it was source reduction, recycling, and composting, which CalRecycle,
Defined
the
as
phrase
recovery.
was, the phrase in the law was source reduction, recycling, and composting. CalRecycle has subsequently lumped that in together as a recycling rate, and they refer to it as a recycling rate. We've never used recovery rate.
I think we should
Anywhere.
use whatever.
So we should use either recycling or source reduction, recycling, composting.
I'd rather say source reduction recycle, because honestly,
That's the term from the bill.
why don't we do that? Can we, everybody okay with that? We say source reduction, recycling and composting, because then it's very clear.
Having spent 4 years arguing about it decade ago, still very
Well, it
fresh in my
really comes
mind.
down to terms and people, how they understand them, so.
I think that's a better clarifier too, right? It makes it easy to understand then what that.
Yep. Okay, is Commissioner Schneider, did you still have your hand up or is that a hangover from the? Again, no. It said there, okay, great. So the legislature declared 341. Yeah, we had a policy goal. This is all standard language, I think, that we've gone through. Again, anybody chime in if this language doesn't work for you under this section. CalRecycle estimates overall waste generation, blah, blah, blah. These were all the latest facts that we had. Just showing that we were not making the progress we wanted to make. That's why they put the commission together. And keep going down. The latest chart is through 2020. And this 2018 is the facility-based characterization. I don't think they've had an updated one since then, so I don't think there's anything to update there.
This is a new phrase just because the rates have changed and there was a slight uptick last year. So that's good, but we're still barely over halfway to our goal.
Okay. Yep, good. Okay, so we'll take out the word recycling. You can just delete it. State of disposal and recycling, yeah, okay.
Chair, I had a
Yes,
question.
sure.
Commissioner Ward, if you can go back up to that middle paragraph there. Despite decreased exports of mixed recyclables, I'd provided some draft language because mixed recyclables, the decrease in exports has been a result of countries not accepting contaminated material or material with non-recyclable items in there. It's not a question of decreasing exports of recyclable material. It looks like you've added the word mixed, but the issue that people need to understand is clean recyclables can still be exported. The Basel Amendment allows the export and import of plastic material, provided it meets a quality spec. So the ability to export clean recyclable material is still there. The misunderstanding that a lot of people have is countries have banned the importation of recyclables.
You've suggested edits?
Yes, as I provided.
Okay, so which I was having a hard time following because you had page numbers and
Yeah,
I wasn't.
I did try to address his comments by adding the word mixed. Because it's true that mixed recyclables are also sort of nixed under the Basel Convention, and I concur with what he's saying about the level of contamination, but it was detail that I didn't think added a whole lot. If the rest of everybody wants to have more detail in that about what's being banned under the Basel Conventions, I can do that.
It would be the decreased export of contaminated recyclable material.
Contaminated mixed recyclable materials, is that okay? So take out and. Please, there you go.
It would be just contaminated recyclables.
It's also mixed recyclable. That's also banned under the Basel Convention. So I still think it, but you know more about this field than that
Contaminated and mixed recyclable materials. Does that help? No?
Yeah, sure.
What if we just said mixed plastic?
It's also
that work?
it's
Commissioner
also
Dunleavy?
contaminated paper. I mean, he's absolutely correct about the contamination being there. That's an issue.
Okay, so don't use mixed and don't use and is one suggestion.
Contaminated recyclable materials at work.
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
I can live with that.
Great. So good, Commissioner Dunleavy?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll just keep moving on. How did we get here? That's again, history that has not, I don't believe this language has been edited. Is there anybody that has issues with this language? Okay, we can go to scroll down. Okay, the bottle bill was established in part due to reduced roadside litter. Little history. California has implemented several different recovery programs using different funding mechanisms.
This is
yeah. Then with the unredeemed deposits, yep.
and thanks to Commissioner Don Levy for this language in that paragraph.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. He did a thumbs up, so that's good. Okay. So AB 939. He's just formatting, good. Made local governments responsible, blah, blah, blah. And we've got a reference question marks a couple times here.
That was the first one was a question from Commissioner Don Levy about the reference for that one, and I believe that came from the Container Recycling Institute. And then he offered a fact that a statement of fact that also didn't have a reference. So, and it seemed to be the same sort of concern. So, don't have a reference for either of those, but I believe the numbers are approximately correct.
Do you have references for those?
Yeah, where I indicated California had 2,578 bottle bill buyback centers in 2013 and a redemption rate of 85%. Those come off the CalRecycle annual data sheets. And as of June 22, 1,264 bottle bill buyback centers. Not sure I could say that a couple times fast. That's off the CalRecycle website as of yesterday.
Okay, so that's as current as it gets. So we're all okay with this. I always like to have references and citations if we can. But 2013, that is. You have the reference for that, Commissioner?
Well, it's already there in the second quote. In the second information, they're the same.
Maybe we put an asterisk or something and then just say it's the same citation.
Fine.
Yeah, that's the one. Which one do you want to break it up? Yeah, it starts with Currently, that one, curbside collection programs are commonplace, and conversely, due to several factors, including funding support, the number of bottle bill buyback centers has fallen by over a third since 2013, leaving many communities with buyback deserts at a time when the public needs their deposits back more than ever. Yes, that is a long sentence. We could break it up after. Okay, put a period after support and start a new sentence was one option. Conversely, this probably. Okay, good. That's good. Good data. Thank you.
Fine.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. So California has required product stewardship or EPR programs for products. That's not new, I don't think. California has made efforts to increase demand for recycled products through the state, blah, blah, blah. That's the state agency by recycled. It's one of our second policies, I think. Investing in the state's recycling system, stimulate the economy. I don't see any hands. I'm not hearing any questions. It looks like a language issue there. So as a result, more material is being disposed of rather than recycled. I would just she's Commissioner Cadena is a very good editor, and she's saying take out of. As a result, more material is being disposed rather than a comma. Yeah, needs a comma. This is directly related to the lack of robust U.S. markets. Okay. Did we have a specific, is this the first time we've mentioned how many centers have closed? Is that accurate? Near 1,000, or didn't we have an exact number?
Let's see. 1,214.
I think that's a good thing to say, because that's kind of horrible. That's the right number.
It says
Math.
it says 1,064 in the earlier paragraph. So
I'm sorry, Commissioner Davis, what did you say?
1,060. Oh, there it is. 1,000. I was doing the 2578 minus 1264. How I came up with
okay. You're
1,214 centers have closed.
I had my hand up.
Sure, go ahead.
So.
Very hard to see on this little screen.
Yeah. If you,
what do you got, John?
Scroll down. There is no. You have green sword in that. There was a national sword and a green fence. So I think
we created a green sword.
Yeah, I think. And I mean, they're both important, but they should be capitalized. So national sword came first, I believe, and then the green fence.
Good catch.
Or was it reversed? I don't remember, but.
And nobody caught it except Commissioner Davis.
Well, I have an earlier one that we can go back to.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Davis, can you speak up? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I do have an earlier one, but we'll catch it at the end. I missed one.
Okay. Commissioner Dunleavy?
Yeah, Commissioner Davis, thank you for bringing up the Green Fence Initiative. That was 2009, 2010. And exports to China were greatly reduced, and it required inspection at facilities before they could ship. So that was kind of the precursor.
Can we get, I'm sorry, we're going to have to get to the comments and the actual changes.
You know, the standards did not prohibit mixed bales. They prohibited recycling.
Contaminated bales.
Well, no, even clean. Well, their definition of contamination was unreachable. So, but it wasn't a mixed bale prohibition, Ted. So
we're putting two things together that we actually had created one word for, one term for, but does that now make it inaccurate? So this was brought to light following China's national sword and green fence Well, so the 2009-10 was only the national sword, correct? Is that what you're saying? Or green fence?
Green fence was 2009, 2010. National sword was 2018.
Okay, so we should put the right year after national sword. And does this still apply to both end standards that prohibited the importation of mixed bales of recyclables and set new, more stringent contamination limits? Did they both do that?
It's not mixed bales of recyclables. It's contaminated bales.
Can we change mixed to contaminated, Commissioner Davis? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Contaminated.
set more stringent inspection requirements. Or
So, and set new, more stringent
inspection.
contamination limits, inspection and contamination limits.
Inspection requirements, yeah. Is that accurate, Jeff?
Yeah, I see it. Inspection requirements. Okay. Good. Is that now good? Everybody agree? Okay. That's better. Good. Good catches. Okay. So we'll move on. Reducing short-lived climate pollutants is a priority of the state. So here's some green language I think might have been added. Is this? Okay. Anybody have any comments on this paragraph? Don't see any hands. Okay. And CalRecycle estimates, oh, sure, go ahead. 63%.
Just, we were trying to say where the numbers came from, so
Yep.
just below the 63%. Does that come from a characterization study
Organic
from
material makes
somewhere?
up. Yeah, we should say that probably. Does anybody know where that came from? 63%.
I thought it was CalRecycle's waste characterization.
From which year? From 2018?
I believe that's the most recent.
I think so too.
Number I remember from a few years ago was 65. I think we could very easily say upwards of 2/3.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Upwards of 2/3 is both
Except
accurate.
upwards of, upwards of 2/3, I think would be, let's not, yeah.
And I think something like this, later on, both you and Commissioner Ward can just
Yes.
verify if it's 63 or 65 or what the
Right.
number is.
But even verifying all these citations can take a long time. So I'd rather just say something more general because this again is advisory and I know CalRecycle knows the number. So, okay. Good. CalRecycle estimates the total cost to implement statewide organics regs to be pursuant to 1383, even with significant source reduction, will require approximately 100 new facilities across the state to handle.
Question on the prior paragraph.
Okay.
We're making the statement that California lacks enough infrastructure. Do we have current available capacity and projected demand? Do we have any idea what those numbers are? And I've seen 23 million tons. What's our current available capacity to handle?
Well, this gets into a lot of extra detail, which I thought we were trying to get away from.
Very reasonable questions, but we don't have time to assemble that.
Yeah.
I think with the 1383, the capacity planning that's happening right now, I think we may have a better understanding of those numbers next year, I would say. But I know there's a lot of surveys going on right now, CalRecycle in cities, finding out what their capacity.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll know sooner, but not now. Okay, so then down to the next paragraph. And this is about 1383. Significant source reduction will require approximately 100 new facilities. Did we want to cite this? Is this all underscores very important?
The 100 facilities was in a bunch of CalRecycle reports. I think it's usually listed as 30 to 100 new or expanded facilities.
Oh, so 100 being the high end.
Yeah.
So it should be 30 to 100?
30 to 100 new or expanded is the terminology that has been used. I can't remember the first time it was used. I don't know.
New or
I'll
expanded?
check numbers, but
Okay, good. So that's more accurate. Tons of material, which in turn will return nearly 40 billion. Require 40 billion for the next decade. Everybody's agreeing with these numbers because I don't know enough to know if they're all accurate on the organic side. Capital investment of nearly 4 billion to develop the infrastructure. Okay, nobody's talking.
Well, all I heard is that in general, these numbers came from Howard Levinson on a back of the envelope kind of calculation because no one was able to do a more comprehensive one at the time. But there needed to be some factoid to indicate that we need to build a whole lot more infrastructure. So these are the numbers that were kicked about. I don't have any further information.
These aren't back of the envelope. This is from the economic analysis of the 1383 regulations.
Okay. So, and we could just put in parentheses, these are from the economic analysis for the 1383 regs.
I need to double check the actual numbers. I mean, that's the part that's missing here is that it's a $40 billion cost with a significant, offset as well from reduced disposal and sale of compost and all those other things. But we believe it's accurate.
Okay,
If
so
you could send me that reference, I'd sure appreciate it.
I'll try to do that right now.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. So,
Can you just send?
40 billion in costs over the next decade. Just add in costs.
Can we say in investments?
Investment.
That's good. And investments. Okay, good. Great. All right, so I'll add that reference there, and then developing local infrastructure and domestic markets for recycled materials benefits the environment, state's economy. I don't think there's anything there that would be questionable. Didn't see any comments, so we'll go down to the ledge offices. Ledge analyst's office has consistently reported that organics management is the most cost-effective method for GHG emissions, as low as $4 per ton. I assume, again, people have citations for these things because I don't know that these are accurate, but.
Yeah, the $4 per ton is from the GGRF expenditures. It was the LAO analysis, I believe, of the first round of GGRF expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
I've used it and I've cited it before, but I can.
Okay, that's good.
Try to look
That's
it up.
something. No, as long as we can say generally where it is. And everybody's in agreement. Okay, so the state has only provided 140 million in grants and loans. Was there a budget thing that just allowed a whole bunch more money to go to organics? I thought there was.
There's a current proposal for another 180 million, but I think it's still pending.
We can say that. Getting to infrastructure, and as of the writing of this report, there's another 180 million proposed in the state budget, but it hasn't been finalized and adopted.
I don't think this 140 million is accurate. I think we had 140 million last year or somewhere in that ballpark. But we had previous years with grants and loans as well. I don't know if CalRecycle, do you know the total amount we've received in organics infrastructure funding from the state, including the local government money last year?
The 140 million was current as of 2020, and then we received an additional appropriation last year. And it depends on how you slice and dice it. If you want to look at the local assistance plus the organics infrastructure, plus food recovery, plus community composting, we can get that number to you. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it was closer to that. It was more than 100 million.
So then the total would probably be around 250-ish.
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can
Can we
get
just,
that to you.
thank you. Could we put a placeholder until CalRecycle gives us that?
Well, but then how long do we wait? I guess, and how much effort do we go to? Is it going to be like today or tomorrow? I want to get this report in.
Can I suggest deleting sentence that said the state is only provided because that is out of date. I think that's left over from last year.
Yeah, the 140 million was in our progress report that we published, and then we received an extra 270 million in circular economy funding last year, with a portion of that going towards organics.
But even the 270 was split over 2 years. So
So
not all of
Can
it
we
was
just put an
appropriated.
estimate? Because it's clearly a lot smaller than what we need.
There-
I
there
think that's
was-
the
there
general
was
point, right?
There's 130 million in GGRF specifically for if the,
Okay, but yeah, I mean,
There-
we're
there
trying to
we
make the
go,
point
too.
that there's billions missing, right? So, I mean, do we want to say there's been at least 200 million? Something general like that? Commissioner Lapis, would that be accurate?
It really depends how you word it.
yeah.
Approximately 200. As of the date of this report, approximately 200 million has been proposed for grants and loans related to organics management. Those decisions are pending.
Actually, I think what Zoe said is correct. It's more than 200 million. It's 140 and 130. It's 270, but it's, Nick, it includes money in that hasn't yet been appropriated, right? It's been approved but not appropriated.
Okay, so as of the date of this report, approximately $270 million has been proposed.
Well, that implies that there's a current proposal for 270. Most of that has already been spent in previous years. So the legislature has, I'm trying to think of how to say this
Yeah, me too.
informatively, but accurately. The legislature has allocated over $200 million in funding and additional, and sorry, I need to,
Nick, it was
I have a hard time
140.
thinking out loud.
Yeah,
Let me-
it's 140 that was approved for 22, 23.
The legislature has allocated over 200 million in funding. I mean, the point we're trying to make is we're way short of what we need.
Yeah.
But we wanted, so I think we just say, in general, it's 200 million that's been appropriated to date, about approximately, but we're literally how many billions short? Right? Like we're billions short. Is that right?
Sort of, but not really. So the billions are really mostly through ratepayers, and there have been rate increases all over the state.
Okay.
So it's not that the legislature is expected to fund $40 billion. The rate increases have,
Can we say we're hundreds of millions short? Can we say, I mean, what are we trying to say, I guess? This is,
Yeah.
I think that that's a good way to frame it.
billions of dollars are still needed.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yep.
The legislature has allocated over 200 million in funding. Yeah,
Isn't it
we'll say
400?
billions short of what will be required. Yeah. Okay, so we can take out as of this date. Commissioner Cadena thinks that's we don't need that. Because initially we were going to talk about like what was pending in front of the legislature, and we're not doing that anymore, so. Okay. These resources fall billions short of what will be required. Commissioner Schneider.
Yeah, I wouldn't be wearing my local government elected official hat if I didn't say, when it goes to the ratepayers, local government is going to look at that as an unfunded mandate. I do believe that that's how we're going to do it, is by the ratepayers, but not every city is in a position that can keep raising rates on their residents, depending on the socioeconomic status. So, my recycling side says, yes, we all need to pay our fair share, but for many local governments, this is quite a hardship.
I'm gonna do a time check. We are literally halfway through the
I'm just
meeting.
putting that in the record there. I was trying to figure out how I could suggest language in there and I can't, but I will be speaking at League of California Cities on this topic in September. And that's what many of my peers are gonna feel.
Okay.
Can we? Oh,
We're
can
halfway through the meeting and we're not halfway through the report, if I understand it correctly. So we are now running in deep. My concern is we're not going to get through this. Commissioner Lapis.
I suggest we strike the sentence I just struck.
Okay, so strike that sentence. Everybody okay with that? Yeah, okay. So is everybody good with this sentence paragraph? Okay, good. So move on to international actions to control exports and mixed material recycling. Through the commission's focus is on our programs. The international efforts obviously affect what we do. And this is where we talk about the Basel Convention. Did commissioners want a break, by the way? Does anybody need a 5-minute break? Yeah, why don't we go ahead and take a 5-minute break? I noticed commissioners start walking. That's because we are human beings. Okay, so we'll be back here in 5 minutes at 10:35. Thanks.
I'm just gonna work through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. What? You're already back, man. I don't even remember all
Oh, it's gonna be on a break at the commission.
Me too. I came prepared. Did find that there's a report with all the infrastructure costs. Composting in California is one done by Cal Recycle, Air Resources Board. Yeah. That was the 4 billion was in there for just in. Yeah, the costs go beyond infrastructure, sure. Infrastructure is just one piece.
Yep. All right. Finish it. Okay, everybody ready? Yep, we've all read it. It's time to go. Commissioner,
Chair Sanborn.
Yeah.
Um,
looking for Commissioner Ward. Is he going to be back with the document? Important part. Yeah. At this point, we're going to have to literally skip to the new text. Unless, because we're not going to make it through this if we don't. So we'll just dip through these by page, and if commissioners have comments, they're going to have to just jump in.
Yeah, just a general comment again on the section above the graph. Maybe it's page 12 or 13. I'm not sure which one we're on. Just the reference to mixed recyclables. There isn't a problem with mixed recyclables. It's contaminated recyclables. Mixed paper is still in demand. Mixed HDPE is still in
Okay,
demand.
so we'll just switch it to,
It's contaminated
Contaminated.
recyclables.
okay.
That's the issue.
The Commissioner, so as long as they look up wherever it says mixed recyclables and they change it to contaminated, you're good. Like that, they can just do a lookup and they'll just clean that up through the document. We don't have to look at every paragraph. Make sense? Yeah. Everybody in
Okay.
agreement with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we? I'm not going to read all these paragraphs, I just want to make sure everybody knows which page we're on to jump in and give comments and edits. So I think were we here at legislative actions? I thought we were below that. So this is the table. There's still a lot of yellow in that table. Commissioner Ward.
Yeah, it's really the pending question. What exactly was meant by that, how consistent we are. And also, in general, there wasn't a great match between this table and the ones that we are not including in this report because we felt that they were addressed. So that's part of the reason why those are highlighted.
Well, we need to decide because we need to be done with this after this meeting. So I think we agreed that what is recyclable was addressed by the legislature, right? So that is done and we can just leave it in there. We don't need to leave it yellow. It was something that we did that was, I wouldn't say addressed. Well, let's see. What column is that? I don't see the header.
Was policy fully resolved?
I would say yes. Because that's really the answer, right? Yes, it was. And that was the commission published a list. Yeah. But maybe we should say yes. And that was SB 343, I believe. for that question. Okay, so let's go down to the next yellow. And then commissioners, just jump in, raise your hand if you have any edits. Is that Commissioner Toyota? No, you were just putting your hand.
Okay, so there's another yellow in the first part, which is transition to single-use propane.
Oh, well, I would put the bill that's in play because that's
1256.
yep.
Yeah.
Or
So
SB 1256 pending and put. Yeah, I would put the bill number. Yeah, you've got it. Okay. So
yeah,
we just take
okay,
out
so
the
that's
yellow.
okay. Just drop the yellow.
Yep.
Okay. Moving down. Here we go.
Okay. Compostable product certification. I believe this was addressed. So we can take all the yellow out, right? Yeah.
Question and comment.
Sure.
Commissioner Ward, if you can go up to policy 2014. Would people be comfortable if we deleted AB 62 com logger with a comment of not yet? And just address the ones below, because policy 2022 down below is the reusables, and just let that stand alone, because I think it's kind of confusing that under beverage containers, we have com logger not yet, but then down below under 2022, it still says not yet, but that one was approved.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense. Let's do that.
Yep. And then just take out the not yet, I believe, right? Good catch. Okay, we don't
Okay.
need duplication. Convenient, is that correctly spelled? Because it's got red under it.
And then Commissioner Ward, just below it clarifies that reusable beverage containers can be included. That should just be under 2022.
All right.
Yep. Okay, so 2019 is yellow. Oh, I see it now.
Okay.
And then just under 2022, delete the not yet because it was approved.
Yep.
And then suggestion, I don't know if this is too late, possibly inserting a column that says approved by commission with the date.
let's say
Please
convenience.
no.
Yeah.
I would say, Commissioner, let's
Convenient.
try to get done.
Yeah.
I mean, if we put a lot more things here, I mean,
They all say the date it was approved on the actual policy. This is the last reading, so it's in there. So it's just a lot more work to put it in this table. Convenient is misspelled again in that third column. Thank you. Okay. They keep scrolling. Conversion looks like coversion. There we go. Okay. Pending was 2132 glass containers, spirits and wine. Yep. So we don't need yellow. That's still pending.
Okay.
Cower cycle actions. Okay. So under this area, does anybody have any comments on cower cycle actions section? The whole section.
Just to inform the board, I deliberately put Cower Cycle's table at the end. I could have included it here, but it would have put a whole lot more weight of paper in the front part. So.
Yep. Oh, that's great.
Just one of the comments that I had is the comment or the paragraph, support from Cower Cycle staff, kind of a thank you, moving that up into the executive summary, just to acknowledge them up front for all the work that they've done to help us through this process.
Problem. Yeah, that looks like a good place for it. Yep. Great.
Okay.
Anything else on that section? Okay. What's the next section? Oh,
So
I saw yellow on the table.
Yeah, so, no,
Missed something.
I don't think so.
Chair Summer, for all this, I mean, the spell checks or the grammatical change,
yeah.
that will happen, right? I mean,
Right.
that we don't have to discuss.
Right. Unless you just make sure we see it, because sometimes these things don't catch it. What is this section? Past, revised, will know. What's that? In yellow.
It's the governor's office actions. I got this language from Commissioner Sky, much appreciated.
In my screen, there's a picture covering up the language at the bottom right, so I can't see it. Somebody could change the screenshots because it used to be at the top and then I could read everything. There, thank you. Well, no, on or after June 15th. The budget. So this is the budget proposal. Did we have this language proofed to make sure it's current? It's 180
No.
million.
This is new language from Commissioner Sky.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Lapis should take a good look at this, make sure this is right. On or after June 15th. Okay, well, I just think
These are the same numbers we talked about earlier. This is the most recent funding.
again,
package.
everything we're doing is a moving target if it's in place. So we just can only say what we can say if something happens. But that's another reason I don't want this to go in on July 1st, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. And I don't want it to be up to just Ted and I to update this whole thing without anybody looking at it. So
Yeah. This seems like too granular of a snapshot in time to really be included in a report. It's going to be cited for.
yeah, maybe we just say that there's been a proposal included in the budget for, organics infrastructure, and it's unknown yeah.
I'm just not sure we need this sentence or the previous paragraph.
Okay, I'm fine with that, taking it out, believe me. You want
Okay.
to-
I need guidance here. My thought on this was that in addition to the responses from CalRecycle and the legislature, some of the things that were proposed by the commission were addressed, at least in part, through the governor's budget proposal. I felt that it was appropriate that we find a way to acknowledge that, but I didn't have any of the details. So I asked Commissioner Sky for that. So if we don't have any specifics, I'd still like to include some kind of general acknowledgement.
We can just say that it was included, and we appreciate that, the administration is trying to address this problem. But it's unknown the result at this time, something like that, something simpler.
Chair Sanborn?
Yeah.
Or staff, is the audio and video link working for the public? I got a text from somebody that said that the hold music was still on and there's no
Oh.
audio via Zoom.
Yeah, Commissioner Ferrante said that too.
I just started the webcast and I can see it. So not sure if they could email our email address for the AB 1583 commission, we can try to troubleshoot with them.
Yeah, it was literally a minute ago. I just got this from Commissioner Ferrante.
I would suggest refreshing the feed for those who may have an issue.
Okay. Of course, they can't hear us to say that, so I'll just put refresh the feed in the text. Okay. All right, we got to keep moving. So the governor's office has incorporated fiscal supports for California moving towards. Do we want to talk about the circular economy again, or this is just about the organics? Let's just say moving towards supports for California's organics infrastructure, and it's unknown at this point in time if it it's going to pass.
For what it's worth, the governor calls it the circular economy.
Yeah,
I
I was about to,
understand. We've got, yeah.
I was
So-
about to make that same point.
Commissioner Toyota? No? Okay.
No, I was going to say the same thing, really. I mean, it's okay to, I feel like if it's not comfortable for us to use, that's fine, but I don't think that we should take out what the governor has more or less said himself. That's editing.
I'm
them.
fine with that. Is Commissioner Dunleavy okay with that? We're referencing the governor's words?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do we want to leave the paragraph above? Or is that now too much detail? We just need to wrap this up.
I mean, honestly, I don't necessarily see the value of a draft budget proposal.
Okay. Then let's just take out that paragraph above and leave it that the governor's office has incorporated fiscal supports. That's kind of weird. Governor's office has requested in the budget.
It has proposed.
Yeah. Has made a proposed, a proposal.
You can just say it has proposed expansion and delete everything in between.
Yep.
So it's better.
Expansion of the movement towards a circular economy and organics infrastructure in the state budget. Yes. And then, yeah, perfect. Okay. Anything else here? Good. Okay. So move on to why favor a circular economy. We've already made the statement at the top about this for the disagreement about the term and the concerns about the term economies. So we're not going to read it unless anybody's got a comment. We'll move down to moving towards a circular economy. Is that a capital T? It should be a capital T, I think. Towards.
Uh,
And the title.
oh, yes, right.
Any comments here? My commissioners? Oh, okay. This is the definition, by the way, of Ellen MacArthur. You can scroll down, it's fine. Unless there's any other comments in this section. I think we've talked about this chart. This is done. I don't see any hands. Just keep scrolling. So this is when we get to the meat. Design out waste and pollution. And this is where we started with putting out the fires, which is in our first report as a priority. Any comments here? And this is where we started with our very first policy on HHW. Are there any comments here on these three policies under this? Producer responsibility for market development, transitioning the single-use propanes to refills. Okay, leveling the playing field for recovery. Again, recovery. You want to change that?
Commissioner Sanborn.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ward, if we could scroll back up.
Yeah.
And let me finish this one real quick and we'll go back. So level the playing field for source reduction, recycling, and composting, I think is what we agreed on from now on. Okay, we'll go back and fix that. Thanks.
What do you got?
Here you go.
Yeah, I had some suggested language to add that the policy gives all cities and counties with curbside and commercial recycling collection programs the ability to reevaluate and reset their list of acceptable materials. Commission emphasized looking at collection programs as recycling programs and not diversion programs, and only accept what can be recycled and composted into new raw material to create new items.
Does that suggested language for this section?
Yes, I think it would go either in or along with number one, design out waste and pollution.
Okay, so I'm looking at your comments and I'm trying to, what page number, since I can't align these pages with the report, I'm having a hard time tracking it. Commissioner Dunleavy, is there? Oh. Yeah. Yep, we have lost Ed. There's nothing I can do about it. He has evaporated.
Nope, sorry. I'm still here. I was just trying to pull up Commissioner Donlevy's comments to see where he put the text. And I was not finding it. So
Okay.
if you can read it off to me, that would be great. Commissioner Donlevy?
She can't hear either. Susan Collins can't hear either.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where you had the paragraph, the purpose of this policy.
I hate to suggest this, but if the public can't hear us, we should take a 5-minute break. Yeah, apparently the public can't hear us. I don't know why am I muting myself.
I can hear
we just
you.
sit here until they come back on because we've got to get through this.
Let's sit here and go and.
Well, but the thing is they're not commenting on everything. I mean, we're going to take comments. We're going to share. We're sharing live. They can see what we're changing.
Can they?
So the webcast right now, the audio isn't working, but the video is. And so our AV techs are working on it right now.
I think it crosses a line to have a conversation about the substance of the report that the public can't hear. I realize that is really frustrating.
Can we do subtitles like for people who have sight impairment or hearing impairment?
Yeah, there are automatically subtitles on the video.
So people can see subtitles?
They should be able to. They're not perfect, of course.
I thought they were darn good though. Can you read subtitles?
Oh, actually, we just received a note that our subtitles don't seem to be working.
You said,
okay, we're
closed captioning also wasn't working. I give up.
Can you ask her if it's working now?
Just texting me that.
It just started working.
Oh, it just started working.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not on the internal Wi-Fi, you're.
Okay, it is working now. Okay, good. Let's get back. All right. So design out waste and pollution. So Commissioner Donlevy, which section did you want to, so you said page 23 on your letter?
Yeah, it was page
The purpose of this
23
policy is to ensure that recycling collection programs collect types and forms of products and material that will actually be recycled through existing new and expanded collection of materials. Okay. And you want to add this under design out waste and pollution? Right before the put out the fires?
Well, I'm not seeing where that paragraph is that I pulled out from page 23 of the version that you sent. So Commissioner Ward, is there any way to find that paragraph where it was the purpose of this policy is to ensure that recycling collection programs?
Hard to do on the fly. That's all I can say.
Yeah, this is, yeah. You're just gonna have to tell us what you'd like. Okay, well, we're gonna have to move on if you can't. Maybe look for it or something or articulate it later.
Well, I submitted the comments. It was
Yesterday.
circulated, so.
Ed,
Okay.
try searching for recycling collection programs, and I think that term will hopefully find it.
Like I said, I don't, it's hard to do on the fly. I don't know how to search in a Google Docs thing. This is not Word.
Yeah, and we can't slow this down anymore. I mean.
Sorry, so you can just Control F.
Okay. And recycling, what am I looking for?
Recycling collection programs.
Or the purpose of this policy.
There it is. Might be the
There it
next
is.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what do you need?
Inserting that this policy gives all cities and counties with curbside and commercial recycling collection programs the ability to reevaluate and reset their list of acceptable material. The commission emphasized looking at collection programs as recycling programs and not diversion programs, and only accept what can be recycled and composted into new raw material to create new items.
Can you give me that second sentence again?
Emphasize looking at collection programs as recycling programs and not diversion programs. And to only accept what can be recycled and composted into new raw material to create new items. Or just what can be recycled or composted.
But this is adding more context for a policy, correct? I thought we were trying to get away from that.
I think that's what we've been talking about all along.
No, you're the one at the beginning that said that, so I'm curious. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Yep. Everybody good? Okay.
So that was way later. Okay, we're now back up here. So we're designing out waste and pollution. Okay, now we're leveling the playing field.
Yep. I think we were. Anybody have comments in this section? Okay, moving towards a circular economy.
Another T.
Yep. Okay, and this is where we've got a placeholder if we can get to the UN letter.
We can, and just to be clear, if that does not get approved, it will get deleted.
Right. Okay, lead by example. Anybody have comments here? Don't see any. Reindustrialize is underlined. Is that correctly spelled? Yeah, thank you. Okay, keep going. Okay, recycle market development zones. This is really, it looks like different colors there. Just FYI, we can go back and fix it.
This is a link
John
to
Davis.
video.
Link to a video. Yeah, that's the Office of Innovation and Market Development and Remanufacturing that came.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? This section?
I'm really confused how there's gonna be a link in a written report.
Well,
Right.
it's not
video.
really written. I mean, we're not sending it in hard copy. Everybody just opens it on their computer anymore anyway.
Maybe if we want to include this, we make it an image that's a screenshot of the video that's clickable.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. That's what I do when we put stuff in reports. Okay, good. Let me just put yellow and you and I can, yeah, thank you. Okay, so we'll just keep scrolling down. Eligible projects, keep going. Buy Recycle and DGS. This is the Buy Recycle campaign. That's been one of our earliest proposals. Is there any comments here on this page? No? No, keep going. This is all the market development. John Davis did a lot of work on this. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Sure, technical materials are recyclable. Another section. Okay, any comments on this section? And table 1, what does that refer to?
That's the list of recyclable materials that's in the recyclable policy. So and since we've deleted that from here, maybe we shouldn't include that link.
Yeah, we should take it out because I think that was
Delete
in
it?
previous reports. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Cool. Recommendations, California Recycling Collection Program. So why are these green?
Because I
We're
was
gonna
searching
change
for
them.
recyclable collections.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
You can press the little X on the right side of that box, the search box.
All the way to the right.
Yeah.
Deborah knows this very well. I'm so glad. Okay. I don't see any other comments. Hands up. I'll just keep going. There looks like an including misspell there. Okay. Now here's a list, should be reviewed and updated at least annually by the commission and Cal Recycle. Yeah, we were going to take that out. Because we're not proposing at this point. I don't think we're in the middle of that. Okay. And do we want to abbreviate California CA, statewide recyclables list, just FYI? No, end of that paragraph, yeah. Okay, I don't see any other hands, any other comments. We should keep going. This is the what is recyclable and all that. Keep biological materials compostable and clean. It's one of the items hopefully we'll get to. We are now at official 6. Rescue food, keep products, materials in use, food policy, preventing waste, right to repair. So anybody just jump in if you have a comment. Salvage and recirculate. There's under can be used to recover. I think used to recover. I thank you. Fix the bottle bill for communities and glass markets. I think Commissioner Dunleavy had some thoughts on this one. You do want to bring up your comments and suggestions?
Just a thank you to Commissioner Ward. I think you've incorporated the comments that I provided earlier. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so that's done. So that's very helpful.
Now here I have the thermoforms highlighted because I believe there was a discussion to be had as to whether or not you wanted to include this paragraph.
Correct. I had voiced my concern that we never got to a consensus or an agreement. I don't think it's applicable to make a statement under fixing the bottle bill to address thermoforms because it is such a very complicated subject. By having this statement in here, it almost seems that we're advocating for a fix to thermoforms or the bottle bill that we can't agree on. So I just don't support having this statement here with the bottle bill or in the report at all.
Okay. Does anybody else have an opinion on that?
I just I added both this paragraph and a paragraph on the conversion technology proposal because there were significant efforts that were contributed by commissioners towards those things. And so I was just acknowledging those efforts. But I'm also clearly stating at the end, there's no consensus and there's no policy. But we can also omit those. That's just fine.
Here.
I think if it's going to create where we're going to spend a lot more time just on this and we can't get through this, we should just eliminate it. If it's not significant, right?
I hate to jump in there and say we need it in there. We did a lot of work. A lot of people did. And even though we didn't get a consensus, at least we showed that there was work done on it. It needs to be at least acknowledged.
Chair.
Yes. Commissioner Sky, and then
the most recent statement, I wasn't sure who made it, but this goes back to what we discussed at the beginning. Deleting any references to the months of work by multiple commissioners, I don't think is right. It's a factual statement. It doesn't endorse or encourage or support anything. It just says that a lot of work went into this issue, something that commissioners couldn't find consensus on addressing. but it doesn't mean it's not an issue. So I recommend.
You recommend keeping it? Okay, Commissioner Schneider?
I agree with Commissioner Sky and the previous commissioner. It was work done, and with new commissioners coming on board, they should know that this is where this issue has been left and it may be readdressed. So
I
keep it.
agree. I personally think that if I were a legislator, I would want to know that this group that has come up with this many consensus recommendations tried this hard and still couldn't agree. I would want to know that. I think that's very informative for politics reasons. So
I agree. Commissioner Kopkoff agrees. It highlights there was a concern with thermoforms and that we worked on it, and it's a complicated issue. And I think that needs, the time and effort that we put in there needs to stay in the report. Let them know that it's highlighted in there that it's a concern, I think, with a lot of stakeholders, not just, one or the other, but there are a lot of people met on this, and we couldn't come up to a consensus on a direction for thermoforms, and that's something we've left open, and I think it needs to be stated.
thank you. Commissioner Schneider, you had a comment? Or is your hand down? Okay. Anybody else before we wrap this up? Okay, Commissioner Donlevy, so it sounds like majority wants it in.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the commissioners. We can include it and move on. And hearing Commissioner Ward, I guess when we get to the next subject on advanced recycling or emerging technologies, we'll see how that goes. But I think it's going to be consistent, and I know Commissioner Dell and the 320 comments that we received regarding advanced recycling.
Okay, well, let's get to that one. So let's get past glass. We got the glass den, so that's in. Monitor compost quality and biological end use markets. Does anybody have comments on this section? I'm not seeing any, so we'll just skip down. Okay. Okay, here's the advanced monitoring for compost, which we're going to hopefully hear today if we can keep this moving. Make labels.
I had a question as far as identifying what is compostable. Did we publish a list of what is compostable?
No, but we did put out criteria. The Organics Committee spent most of its time on that, coming up with a recommendation on specific criteria, most of which was then incorporated into 1201 last year.
I have one comment really quickly, and I did send an email out. I don't know if we want to reference policy 2133 and 2007 in this area, which talks about the infrastructure for organics.
Yeah, I wasn't able to figure out the comment, so that would be helpful to just share it.
My email wasn't that clear.
Well, no,
it was confusing. I get it.
Just a lot going on.
But those are the two policies I would link to that paragraph under 2E. If you think it's valuable. If not, we can move on.
Okay, so just to be clear, so there's two, you gave us.
Yeah.
Let's pull up your email.
21, I got it right here.
Okay.
It is 2133 and 2007.
Oh, I see that.
Which
Both
of those reference are regarding composting.
Gotcha.
Infrastructure was one, and this paragraph, a couple paragraphs above that, really details
Oh, then we should put them there.
the infrastructure.
Anybody disagree with that? Organics guru is suggesting we put the two organics policies in there that we missed. So thank you for catching that. That's good. Is it 22OE? Oh, that's right, because we'll number it when we finish it. All right, so we'll add those two in and we'll put them in order. Thank you for that. Make labels clear and enforceable. Anybody have any edits on this section or comments? Okay. The labeling has lots of L's. There's another one. Right. Let's see. Labeling system, we got that. Enforcement. Okay, so then it's clarifying the range of acceptable organics recovery technologies. Okay, and that was 21-28. Does anybody have any comments on this section?
And then the last paragraph there is the one that I got from Commissioner Sky that's analogous to the thermoforms one, indicating work by commission that did not result in policy.
Person committee was assigned number of stakeholders, plural, stakeholders raised concerns regarding the potential impacts of the technologies, could not reach consensus about the recommendations laid out in the framework. Well, actually, I think maybe a more accurate way to say that was the commission agreed that there was no, that we would not consider this. You say that. Did you have a suggestion, Commissioner Dunleavy? Large number of stakeholders raised concerns. Well, I would say literally we should say over 320. That is the actual number. Raised concerns regarding potential impacts of such technologies, and the commission, I think the way we framed it in the notes was we put aside this proposal for now, or it was like tabled, I think was the word. And just leave it like that, because that's exactly, I think, what was in the notes.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So we have it as renewable technology / organic discards to energy. I don't think we actually spent any time talking about anaerobic digestion, biomass conversion. So those should not be. It gives the impression that the proposal is also about AD and biomass, which some people do have concerns about, but wasn't what we were discussing here. It was really
I agree. So how do we,
mixed waste and plastics.
what would be the best way to clarify that?
That's the previous policy, 2128. That was related to organics, not, the framework was never, it's not included in the report, and it was put aside.
So, okay, I see. So that's not a caption for this section.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, this is kind of a, maybe we
I
should
see.
put like,
That is,
confusing because it's run together.
yeah.
Maybe we say, at the 6-1 mission meeting, there was a agenda item on blah, 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 the titled blank.
You know, the problem is that it's under G and it doesn't really belong under G. It belongs somewhere else. So either as a new letter.
It's I was trying to use the headings to set the context for each policy. And so these things aren't policies. There are things that were discussed that didn't quite make it to policies. So we could either create a new section for that in addressing this and the thermoforms, or we can tack them on as we've done.
I guess the point is that we had a lot of conversations in the organics committee early on about acceptable organics recovery technologies. And then we separately had a lot of comments about broader advanced recycling, chemical recycling technologies. And the two are related, but it really seems like it's conflating the two.
What would you like to do?
I agree with Nick. It should either be a separate heading or a subheading to separate the two.
Okay. You want a subheading here?
Just a comment. So on this, as Commissioner Ward keeps typing, we have a policy reference number that I'm assuming this policy would be attached as an amendment, which gives people potentially the impression that this was considered, unless they read at the heading that presented on this date not approved. It gives a lot of information that might give people the impression that this is a policy that was endorsed by the commission. So we're giving these renewable technologies a pathway for consideration that we're not giving the same pathway to thermoforms, where there was a policy and a number, I thought, as well, that Commissioner Davis had worked on, and I worked on it with him.
Yeah, we should be
as
fair.
well.
Yeah, you're right.
So if I'm concerned that we're going to
well, let's fix
include
it.
policies for consideration that were not approved, that might give people the impression that they were improved or they
Okay.
were approved. So
Okay, so how
both
about
in,
this?
both out, I think it creates confusion and the impression that they were approved when they weren't. So if there's any discussion about them, then the draft policies get included that I think creates confusion. And the reason that we're all here today is confusion in the recycling programs.
Ted,
Commissioner
correct me
Ward?
if I'm wrong, I don't think we included any policies in this report that were not approved by the full commission. And if
Correct.
we're talking about the drafts that are on the website, we could add a clear statement on those drafts that they were not adopted, just so if anybody views them online, that there's no confusion.
They're not in this report.
Okay, the policies are not anywhere in the report. Now I have consistent headings across both the thermoforms and the so-called advanced technologies.
Can we change the advanced technology to other proposed technologies? Because I think
I
by
like
putting
that.
advanced, it just other
Well-
proposed technologies.
I agree. Unfortunately, though, the title, I think, was advanced, wasn't it?
But it's okay.
In the
We're
actual
clear about
proposal.
what happened. So
But yeah, but I think it's other proposed technologies. 'Cause I mean, I think
Okay,
that creates the
okay.
whole thing. It just a
I agree.
descriptor of what
No,
it is.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear. That was not exactly how it was titled, and I think that was part of what got people fired up, actually.
So with both this section and thermoforms, maybe find a way to pull them both out, put them somewhere as
I hear what you're
topics,
saying, and I'd like
topics
to hear from the other
discussed,
commissioners.
topics discussed, not approved by the commission.
Done. We've got two policies that we discussed, and the question is, do we leave them where they are in the section that they might apply to, or do we keep them in a separate part of the report? I personally don't think that that's a deal breaker. They don't have the attached policies that were discussed, that's agreed on. So Commissioner Schneider, did you have a comment on this part?
Yes, I got a little
Okay.
confused when anaerobic digestion of, I assume, separated organics came up. Is that in this report at all as not consensus?
No, I was saying that it seemed like that was the implication by putting the discussion of advanced technologies in the organic waste section.
Okay, I just want to make sure that systems like in my area and Oceanside that are doing anaerobic digestion now with big investments are not being looked badly upon.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same
Okay,
page.
then I'm cool. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. And Commissioner Davis, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, in the second sentence in the paragraph, now, yeah.
By the way, your shirt looks nice. You might want to, there you
Yeah,
go.
I have a very painful back right now, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I know.
It's actually the third sentence. It says develop this draft framework. That confused me when I read it along the lines of Commissioner Lapis. So a draft framework instead of this
Right.
Sure.
as a two-person committee.
Okay, and then I think we're done. We have a bit of we had a proposal by a commissioner to actually put these two sections into one place in the report. I personally think at this late hour, it doesn't change to anything, really. I'd rather just leave it the same and not have Commissioner Ward have to go through any more work.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Maybe sidebar. I think we have to have another meeting on the 30th.
Okay, can we talk about that as fast as we can get through here? I did hear from Commissioner or one of our guests online that they were literally unable to hear us for 25 minutes. That is a problem.
They said that somebody texted me as well, that it was muted when we went on break.
Yeah, and it never came
And
back
then never
on.
came back until we fixed it a while later.
Okay. Commission structure and process. Does anybody have any comments on this? No? Okay, can we keep going then? We'll quickly go through. lot of corrections. Thank you, Commissioner Davis, on some of those two-person committees. Challenges and opportunities for the first 2 years. Anybody else have comments on this? No? Okay. Keep scrolling. I think Commissioner Schneider, your hand's up, but I think it was from an old. Thank you. Keep going. Guiding principles, all the stuff that we had. Towards a sustainable commission. So this is a lot of yellow and new material, I believe, Commissioner Ward.
Yep.
And these are things that are just kind of suggestions to the legislature, many of which Commissioner Valle and I had already shared with Senator Eggman's office. So let's just quickly go through this. The commission wants to share our advice on how to have a sustainable commission. We operated under COVID rules and were able to conduct a lot of business in public with a lot of access by people who normally would not have participated, which resulted in robust reports, a lot of policy recommendations that had broad input. And a lot, yeah. However, that all ended in early April, we should probably say 2022, when the governor ended the post-COVID operations of the commission, allowing us to meet remotely. The commission believes that we have been very effective at providing timely and excellent advice and shared our concerns with Cal Recycle and others regarding needed policy changes to have a sustainable advisory commission. They are as follows. And again, this is where it's very important. Again, we all agree.
Can I say it's really awkward for us to say that our own advice was excellent?
It is a little awkward. I felt weird reading it.
If we do say so ourselves.
I know. I'll just say timely advice. Zoe says, somebody gave us, yeah.
Much acclaimed.
Yeah, that was a little high horse. Okay. Well, it was good for a laugh. We needed it today. So state paid timely legal advice. That was something I think even today we could have used. State paid support staff to handle the administration and recording of the meetings and posting of the video meetings in a timely way, because again, they don't post them. They just take them and then we have to request them and then we post them or do it ourselves. I think it should be automatic. That would be very great, but hasn't happened to date. Ability to meet remotely without the public coming to our location.
Could it be just ability to meet remotely and eliminate the without the public coming to every location? Because they have to have access, even
They
if we're
do.
meeting remotely, right? So
Right.
it's ability to meet.
And we
remotely.
do have the ability to meet remotely. We just have to say where we are 10 days in advance. And that's been a problem. Like today for Commissioner Ferrante, she couldn't do it because she wasn't where she thought she was going to be.
Could we clarify, the more I think about it, the more I think as long as there's a quorum in person somewhere, everybody else should be able to call in without having to list their personal address. But
That's a state law that has to change. It's not our. we
right, but
can't
this
do
is the
it.
recommendation here, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's that everybody should be remote. I think it's that those who are remote, in addition to a quorum, should not have to disclose their address. It should
And
be-
maybe we say that because a lot of people are now working from home, which
Right.
is true. That was my issue. Yeah, I like that. So it's the ability, I think it's under remotely. A quorum meeting at one location.
I don't
With others
recommend
participating
going there
remotely.
because then our meeting today wouldn't have been possible.
Right. With additional
I think if you
parties.
want to clarify, you could say ability to meet remotely without having to
Disclose your location.
maybe at one or more public location. So if we have a location and Kobe has a public location.
Yep.
If that's a quorum, we don't need people putting their home addresses.
That would be great. And it seems that meets
And
the
that's fair.
public
Yeah.
transparency. And I personally think that people being able to call in and talk with us from all over the state and beyond is very advantageous to having a good, thoughtful discussion. They don't have to physically be here to give us.
Commissioner Ward, you say ability to have a quorum meeting at one or more public I think that just creates confusion. If you put ability to have a quorum meeting, comma, with additional precision without having to disclose specific location, I think makes sense. Right?
Mhm. So we can meet remotely, so I would take 3 out. That's not a problem. The problem is that we have to disclose.
Yeah, look, the Bagley Keene was written when teleconferencing meant calling in
Right.
on a telephone.
Yep.
And
Things have changed.
that has changed, right? So the
Okay, so do we all
importance of
agree to
updating
this?
Bagley Keene is to recognize the new technology that allows public interaction
Right.
remotely.
Okay, but it's above our pay grade. This is not something,
Well, we're
and even
asking.
Cal Recycle could change. It would be
Yeah.
law. Okay, ability to meet outside limitations of only 2 commissioners without 10-day public notice when the majority is 9 commissioners. I mean, to me, this has been one of the biggest problems. The reading of the law that I just haven't seen it. It's usually a majority is the problem, not 2 commissioners.
Yeah, again, that's in the statute. And given in our instance, we are doing the work. We're doing the staff work. And so that's
Right.
the limitation. It's not just 2 commissioners, it's 2 people discussing business. So we can't even bring in resources.
Right.
Now I'm going to bring some, is everybody okay with the 4th one? Okay, I'm going to bring something up that I think is important to just discuss and decide if we want to say anything to this. There's been at least one, there's been more, but where there's things going on behind the scenes, commissioners, having serious concerns about other commissioners going to Cal Recycle, and a lot of stuff like that going on that was not done in public that worries me, that these things, like there should be a process for this commission to have. And I don't know if that's in the charter or if that's in the law, but maybe it's in the charter that we would bring that kind of stuff up, that an agreement that commissioners, if they have an issue with another commissioner, that they go to that commissioner first, try to get the information and solve it before they escalate. Maybe that would be in the charter now that I think about it. But that's been a problem. And the other thing was that creates a problem for me as chair, whoever's going to sit in the seat. When you're trying to get consensus, it's hard for me to share things that I might want you all to know that are happening, but it worries me that it's going to create such discord that we will not be able to get to consensus. Does that make sense?
I think you're the only one who's really aware of the situation. So
Well,
it's
that's the problem. And that's because of the way this has been all set up. I'll just say this. There's things I've not revealed to the rest of the commission about some commissioner behavior because I was worried it was going to create problems that we would not be able to get to consensus. Does that make sense? I just think you should all be aware of it going forward, that how we treat each other at the dais and outside matters. That's all. So I'll just leave it at that. Lack of funding for the enormous time contribution. Do we want to say that?
Chair Sanborn.
It is true. It is for me. And I can say that I think it disables the ability for the smaller nonprofits to be able to participate. Because when I'm here, I'm not fundraising for my organization. I'm not doing the work of my organization. And when you're a small NGO, which is in the law, they want NGOs. Are we only going to have the biggest NGOs that have the biggest pocketbooks? Because it is an inhibitor. Yes. Somebody wants to.
Chair Sanborn, with what Commissioner Lapis was suggesting, I would second if there's a motion to have another meeting on the 30th, because
Okay, I think we're off topic.
Well,
We're off topic.
I'm trying to make a statement. I got a hard stop here in about 10 minutes where I'm going to have to move. But unfortunately, I don't think this report is in a format that has been presented to the public, given them time to view it or comment on it. We've been working on this, making significant changes with this. I don't think it's fair to stakeholders or anybody else that's been watching the commission for the last year, because we don't know what the report could be. I think we're going to have another meeting so we can approve this. And then I was surprised with this agenda.
Excuse me, but Commissioner Dunleavy, 2 other commissioners have tried to talk to this. Can we please just hold it for 1 minute? I'd really appreciate your cooperation today. Can we please just finish this section? Is there any other comments on this section? And then we'll get to this comment and concern about the fact that we've got a problem with 25 minutes. Apparently people could not listen to the commission meeting. Okay, so if that section is done, then what is the next section? Are we okay with this? Can we take the yellow off? Okay, very good, thank you. And then we'll go ahead and see what's next. How much further do we have, Commissioner
That's
Ward?
it.
Nice.
That is
Okay.
it. This is now the responses from CalRecycle, and I don't think we have any editing on that. And then you have the list of the policies, and that's in the order that those policies were presented in this report, including the ones that are highlighted that may or may not move forward depending upon this meeting. So we have gotten through the report. Thank you all.
Okay, so I want to just then say, we have the public that said that they literally could not hear us for 25 minutes. And I, again, without legal advice, we can vote on this now, but then there's also what is enough? Do we want to have, another meeting to make sure that the public has had time to review this report? But we've always said that the report, we did do this last time where we did live edits. And then Ted, Commissioner Ward and I had direction from you on little tweaks to make. We made them live and then we told you the date we were sending it out and that's what we did. So thoughts from commissioners or CalRecycle?
I think we should have another meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel also uncomfortable after hearing that for 25 minutes they could not hear
Yeah,
our
that's not good.
discussions. That's not. I think there's going to be a need for another meeting.
Okay.
And yeah, and also since we've tried to operate so much as a consensus, and at least some of the items we've discussed in the report are concerns raised by commissioners who are not here. I also feel like even individual commissioners might want to give more input. It would just be really hard to vote on this today. I'm comfortable with it, but it seems like if we could have another meeting.
Okay. So everybody's up?
Here.
Some people have to travel a lot further than others and, okay. So what, maybe just schedule an hour, something small and short to just take public input and,
I would do two, just in case.
yeah, well,
I think two of us
I'm running out of time.
Yeah, I wouldn't do 1 hour. I'd do 2 and get through it and be done.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion on date and time?
Someone mentioned June 30th, but I don't know why that date is.
I just said June 30th because the report
Well-
is due July 1st. So that's the
Yeah, but the
latest
thing
we
I'm
could
worried
possibly
about
do
is we're going to end up with a whole bunch of new information and try to make a lot of edits on the fly again.
Right.
Can we speak?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Kobe and I had our hands up for a while. Look, if we had a blank portion of the meeting for the public, if the meeting was recorded, if you can isolate that time, and it was after the break, and then we know from the recording when we came back, let's revisit that section of the report and limit the discussion to that section of the report. I'm kind of reluctant to go through the whole thing again, but if you prefer, if the rest of you prefer, we can do that. But what we missed, or what the public missed, was 25 minutes. And it began at the end of the break, and we know when it came back. So just one option to focus the discussion on that 25-minute gap.
Well, we're out of time. I mean, basically on Friday, we have to have a public notice up 10 days. So did you want to try do it Wednesday? I would like to.
Yes, I would. I agree. The 28th, Wednesday the 29th. But yeah.
I don't want to change the report to address updates though. I think we have to just focus it on exactly the concerns, because I can just tell you, I'm overloaded. I'm not the only one that's in the middle of a very busy part of the year.
you identify the 25-minute gap and you post the agenda to focus on the items that were discussed during that 25 minutes. And then that becomes all we can act upon because that is the agenda.
Well,
Okay,
I
so
think
these-
it would be final approval of the report because we had
Yeah.
several things where we're updating references and things like that and making the links. It'll give us an opportunity to have everybody approve the final report.
And I think by definition, it should be the entire report, because if the goal is to give the public more time to review it,
No, the
But it
policies, the
is-
policies were already approved. They can comment on whatever they
right,
want,
exactly.
but we're not gonna open up all the policies again.
In terms of everything that was done today,
The report is fair game, because
Right.
that's what we've been.
That's what I was
editing.
referring to.
Yeah. But the policy attachments would not be real.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so.
Can I make also a suggestion, Chair, for Commissioner Dunleavy? Commissioner Dunleavy, what format can you actually see the document in with your software? So maybe Commissioner Ward can send it to you in that fashion, like that. We don't have, 3 documents that we're working off of.
Yeah, I was able to get in at the home computer to see them, but not comment on them. Going through my laptop and.
Is there something that you
company-
would need? Could it be that Commissioner Ward convert it to Word and send it over to you like that? You have the whole document and we don't have because I mean, it'd be important for us not to be jumping around the document in 20 pages the next time we sit down.
Yeah, so I've been able to get in on my home computer and see it, not comment on it. Commissioner Ward was able to send me a Word document or a PDF
Yeah.
that I could take a look at. So I had to cut and paste on that. But I think we're at the point where we're almost there. The entire document should be posted with the agenda so the public can comment on what the final document actually looks like.
That's what we do.
And I will send you a PDF of that document so that at least when you comment on it, the page numbers match.
Chair,
Okay,
in the
Commissioner
interest of
Stein.
time, I'd like to make a motion that we hold a 2-hour meeting on June 29th from 9:30 to 11:30, and that I call the question.
Okay, Commissioner Schneider, holding on that for a minute. I'm sorry, can't hear you.
I'm going on vacation the 29th and really need 3 days away. I heard Commissioner Sky say 9:30. I'm hoping to get out of here as soon as rush hour traffic is gone. Could we make it 9 o'clock? That means I can't get out of here until 11. I've lost half a day of my vacation. And I hate 8 o'clock meetings, be happier with an
Okay.
8 a.m. on the 29th.
Thank you for that. We're getting Cal Recycle flagging me down here.
Yeah, in terms of our technology and our ability to host a Zoom on the 29th, we are unable to host until noon on the 29th due to our license for the public meeting.
Ouch.
Or for having a hybrid meeting.
Well, we don't have to, I mean.
You don't need me.
Not
I'm
all
in a
commissioners have to be here. I mean, you did hear it and we could certainly, if you wanted to share with Ted or I any edits, further edits, you would just miss the public comments and stuff, but I doubt there'd be huge amounts of changes
Okay.
after this. It's just
I
making sure
appreciate
people have
that.
time.
I just desperately need 3 days away after 2.5
Yes,
years.
tell me
So,
about it.
yeah, no, it's a desperate. So thank you.
Okay, so are we now looking then at noon and after on the 29th?
Correct.
Okay, so how about 1 to 3? Is everybody okay with 1 to 3 on the 29th?
Yes,
Is there anybody who is
accept
not?
friendly amendment.
I accept 1 to 3, but acknowledging everything, it's going to be really tight. So please, any comments you have, get them in advance so that we can already have a final document so that all we have to do is approve. We won't really have time for any significant edits.
Right. This is, yeah. Okay. So we're going to do, and the only reason we're doing is because people couldn't hear and follow us, and that concerns us all. So, all right. So Wednesday, June 29th, we're going to do it from 1 to 3 p.m. or shorter. And we'll send out the agenda. So what we should talk about now, the agenda for that meeting, since we only have 15 minutes, and then we'll go back and see if we can do these policies.
There is one public comment that I
Oh,
can
please,
read
go ahead.
quickly if you'd like. So it's from Gail Bryce from XT Green. It says lack of public access. According to Bagley Keene, the public must have access to your meetings. That did not happen for the full meeting today. Please make the current report easily accessible to the public and have another meeting.
Well, I don't know if it was true that it was the whole meeting. I think it was about 25 minutes, but point taken, we've been getting the text. So thanks all for everybody letting us know. So we'll go ahead and have a 2-hour meeting scheduled on the 29th. Is there anything else you want on the agenda? The agenda is going to be very narrow to just the quorum, the meeting minutes, and then it's going to get right into the public comment and the report. And it's only going to be the report, not the policy attachments, unless we cannot get through the 2 other things today. Because then it would only be the 2 that we did not finish. Okay,
Heidi, then that will be your final meeting.
that will
on
be
the
my final
commission.
meeting.
So let's add an item for commission structure and future. So we
I-
have it as a placeholder.
Yeah, and we can do that. The thing is though, I think there's going to be new appointments. And so I think you'd probably want to wait until you have your new appointments, just like we did the first time, to let everybody who's in the new appointed commission decide.
Oh, yeah, not to necessarily make decisions, but so we can have conversations or it just,
Okay.
I don't know if we're gonna need to do anything logistical.
Okay,
But let's just have that as a final item.
so
On
the
the
final
agenda.
is, I'm sorry, what would the title be?
Commission structure and future.
That doesn't leave a whole lot of room for a lot of decisions. It's just more of a discussion and advice thing. Okay, is everybody good with that? Okay.
That's fine. I have a quick clarifying question. I was confused in the beginning of this meeting on how many people in person we would have a quorum. Is it 2 in person and the rest
One.
could be
As far as
just?
it's 1.
Okay.
No.
No.
We only need 1 person in the room and we have to have a total amount of the people who properly noticed where they are and all that be a majority. Yeah.
Okay,
Of who's
thank
sitting
you.
on the commission now, which has changed. So we're down to.
Just in case I can't make it up and I can host a Zoom at my location. That's all.
Great. We just need your location
Yep.
and exact address by Friday or else they can't post the agenda in time.
CalRecycle will send out an email to the commissioners asking, and please send your teleconference location for it.
Yep. Okay, so let's move quickly. We've only got a few
Through the
more
chair.
minutes.
I'm sorry, just on that last agenda
sorry.
item, did we agree 2 weeks ago of a deadline to get letters of submission that you want to stay on the commission? Or for new people applying? I can't remember if we had a date.
The director asked for
July
them,
1.
but July 1 is your deadline. But I think that the sooner the better to let the director know, yeah. Well, why don't we go back to agenda item 4 then and see if we can get through this advanced monitoring for compost. Is that okay? Okay, great. So this
Chair
is,
Sanborn.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to exit. So
okay,
well done hurting everything that we did today. So thank you.
thank you. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, so advanced monitoring for compost, Commissioners Toyota and Kalpakoff. Do you want to go through the edits based on the conversation from last meeting?
Sure. We needed to clarify, I think one of the most important things was to go ahead and clarify what we were doing with this. We didn't want to, there's some concern about that this would stop ultimately the, the movement of compost that that's the ultimate goal. And so a lot of the edits basically were clarification edits. And then toward the end of the policy, you'll see that we really added in language that was about, if you find it, then you have to find out where. Look further, not necessarily, that's it, what happens. So if you get to the very end, that's where I think most of the edits were on this. I'm just doing this really quick because we have like 2 minutes. I think that might help. Or we can go through them one by one. That's fine. For the purpose, we wanted to make sure that we're monitoring for microplastics because we know we're not monitoring under, I think it was 4 millimeters. And So the proposal is, we changed it to land applied processed organics because that helped clarify what we were going to be looking at. And we wanted to go ahead and scroll up a little bit. Accredited laboratories. There's no standard laboratory method that's actually commercially viable for looking for those microplastics under 4 millimeters in compost. We're about to push a whole lot of compost out into the environment, land applied, and this proposal is to look for the microplastics as a way of defending any or basically getting out in front of any issues that might come up because of them. And it's changed so that it's not specifically, we're looking for it in compost, but it doesn't necessarily point to, if it's in the finished compost, that it's coming from plastic bags or anything else. We had a discussion that that microplastics are basically everywhere. It could be coming from the water. It could be coming from a lot of different things. So we edited it so that it would be, if it's found, then you're going to have to start we need to start looking at where it's coming from. We need to start looking at, is it a problem?
Are we editing this as we go or what?
You can jump in with comments if you want to comment on their edits.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking for the overall, if you could scroll back up for a second, I just closed it on my screen. For the purpose, scroll up a little bit. Yes, I'm not sure that the purpose is to refine risk assessments as much as it is to identify best practices for minimizing plastic contamination. Is that a fair? I'm just always cautious of giving the impression that, if somebody takes this out of context as compost is this really scary thing that could have all of this toxic plastic in it, and we need to figure out a way to measure the risk, which isn't what we're saying. We're saying that quantifying plastics could help identify which policies lead to increased contamination, right? And or management practices, or I mean, I'm just not comfortable with the stated goal.
I agree. I like where you're going with that, because it does sort of point to that issue of, oh, now it's a problem. And really this proposal is about exactly what you said, looking into best management practices, making sure that things aren't a problem before they happen.
But we did discuss they are happening.
I think that this needs to be moved to the next report.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get through it.
I was going to
That's
mention
fine.
the same thing. And now I
Yeah.
feel very rushed
Yeah.
to,
Yes.
to
Well, I
agree
just
to
thought we'd
something.
start it because we had a few
Yeah.
minutes, but yeah, I mean, we've got a few more minutes. We've only got 7 minutes. If you have any thoughts on this or public comments on this item, do we have any public comments on this? No? Okay. And we can just go ahead and say, everybody needs to get in there and track changes and give feedback, and we can do it live. But if you can't get in there for some reason, please let me know, because it is far easier and a lot more transparent for you to be typing your comments and edits live so the whole world can see them versus, emailing back and forth documents is what happened. But it just worries me that it's not transparent enough. So, okay. Do you want to take any other feedback? Are there any other comments on this right now to give feedback to Commissioner Toyota? Okay. So we'll put this one and the letter on the next agenda, but I will suggest we do it the same way, the report first, and then make sure we get through that.
I think we should not have this on the next agenda. Next agenda should be about finalizing this report.
Oh, I see. You don't want to do with this.
No.
I see what you're
And
saying. I'm
Again,
fine with that.
not to discount it. It's just,
It's super important, but
it's too last minute to try to incorporate into this report.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that okay? All right.
I
just
think
wanna
we
make
should
sure-
we should concentrate on finalizing the report next time.
Okay. And what about the UN agreement to end plastic pollution?
Same thing.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? The authors okay with that? Ted, I can't hear you.
I guess I'd rather have a little bit more discussion rather than saying same thing, let's not do it.
Yeah, there is kind of a time issue. If we just want to reach out. To the
Right. I don't think it's
US
not doing it.
negotiators.
It's just we have 4 minutes or 4 minutes now, and then we have to finalize the report next time, which is the priority, right?
Yeah.
Those two subjects can be taken up by the commission for the next report.
Because literally, if we fail to finish the report at the next commission meeting, we will literally not have enough time to schedule another meeting, and it will be late. And
That's
I
all
will
true.
not have it be late on our watch. So,
So that's what that's
Yes.
for me, my comment. We should concentrate in the next session should be about finalizing that report.
yeah. But in the meantime, everybody can make comments on these things and give feedback, and any commissioner could send letters or ask anybody to sign on to a letter with them if they wanted to. I mean, that's the alternative. But I do think that these two are pretty big and they're going to need some thought in the public because
Okay.
they're important. Okay, so these will not be on the next agenda. It'll just be public comments, meeting minutes, notes. And we have to make sure we have a quorum too, because that could be the other thing that kills us if we can't get a quorum. So I'm going to have to count on commissioners to make yourselves available. Okay. Well, we got a lot of work done today, and we also had data requests, which we didn't talk about, but if you have any questions on those, we can open it up now. If anybody's got thoughts on the data requests or feedback.
I need to express my gratitude for CalRecycle staff putting together the table and responses to the commission's proposals. The CalRecycle does not work for the commission, and I'm very clear on that, but I appreciate the staff efforts in compiling that table. I know it's not easy to do those things. Thank you.
I want to personally thank Emily, Lori, and Zoe and all the background staff that have helped make this work. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so with that, I think it's time to adjourn. And again, if people missed it, we are going to have one last meeting. We're going to have to put that up on the website. It'll be the last Wednesday of the month from 1 to 3 p.m. And this will be only to focus on meeting minutes, report, public comment, and just the report, not all the attachments. Those have already been done and approved. Excellent. Thank
Correct.
you so much, commissioners. Have a great rest of the day. Time for lunch.